And I actually want to see if me will be locking down this Jace.
Yeah, and I guess we still have to wait until is the Oriana now being locked in for GS Yugen. You got perfect ball delivery system to set up that shockwave, and therefore GS Yugen say that this is possibly the safest pick that they could go for, while Renekton has been opened up for the longest time, but they're still thinking twice. Okay, Days or the Renekton. I think either or is going to be fine. But
Mhm.
heading to the late game, I would prefer the Renekton. But when they want to look for crowd control services, they have to rely back on trusty Leona. So this is going to be a high kill threat coming out of the bottom lane of BTR Cillax.
I can't believe I forgot to mention Saya when Rakan was picked in the first rotation red side. So with Rakan logged in, looks like GS Yugen will be hovering and locking in this side. We have Lovebirds down at the Dragon Lane side. So not only is this a protect the ADC, but it's also a challenge for BTR. They have a lot of AoE CCs to come through, at least surpass before they can even go to where Saya is. And even then, Saya still has the Feather Storm to jump out rather of these sticky situations.
Indeed, and now looking at both ends of the spectrum, I felt that there's different things that BTR Chillax hope to accomplish. They want to actually get some really high priority on that bottom lane. So you expect this Diana to set things up perfectly, especially when Zaya in that early level of a stage, she won't be able to offer too much, having to rely back on the Rakan. Well, if you hit that late game stage, GS Yugen's gonna dominate. You look at the power spike, they could basically divide and conquer. And speaking of divide and conquer, you could do so with the 12 gen Intel core. It divides, so you can conquer. And you know what, Yuuko? I believe we're ready to kickstart our very first match here for the day. And, well, for those of you guys back at home, drop in your predictions down below. Who's going to be able to walk away with a huge victory in our very first matchup in this best of one?
I actually checked the live stream on Facebook. Team Secret Azar was watching. Hello Azar, welcome to the stream. Not sure why you're there, but do not forget to share the live, everyone, to those who are watching, and to the others who are watching on Twitch, on YouTube. Please do not forget to invite your friends to watch as well. Also, shout outs to my buddy Autolus, which is also a Wild Rift caster. He is just playing and hoping he can reach the master rank this time around. You know, we all have our wishes and wants for Christmas. But yeah, again, this will be just a best of one. Draft wise, I think it's pretty even, and I would love to see the which team will be able to just play around their draft more.
I'm glad that you've managed to notice who actually drops by into the stream. So I guess it gives them a little bit of motivation when Senpai's literally watching in the chat. So, of course, hope you guys are chilling pretty tight there throughout the evening. If you haven't got your dinner just about yet, sit back, relax, and probably order your food online and just enjoy the show. So for our very first matchup, we take a look at that draft that have already been secured by both ends. And I just think that GS Yugen, they just have so much advantages if they want to initiate any battles, as they have so many form of good crowd control. On top of that, it could be either Rakan or even the Camille to actually start a fight where you could just save that Cataclysm for an important target that they want to move in with. And I'm glad that we moved directly to the Rift here with a very standard strat.
Ooh, that was actually, that was a good stun coming through from Cillax, but you have Rakan with the knockup, good save. I don't think both teams will be committing as much given that it is still the early game. That will be the Rift's got a secured and it'll be the Flaggy Jack coming through. He does get charmed and that will be a tad bit too much for him to bear. They're trying to flash out. It looks like Princess is still able to get away, but the damage coming in from Diana was also too much for her to bear. That is an early game double kill going over to Diana, and it seems like BTR Cillax was able to get it 2-0 from the early game.
That was a beautiful setup and felt like GS Yugen kind of jumped the gun just to secure the Skull of Crab. Is it really worth it for just the crab? I don't really think so. But then again, when you take a look at what's happening up here, it's going to be this goal secured pretty much easily by BTR. With Yugen not going for the rip buff immediately as he clears out some wards, as we will hope to see AE just giving a little bit more pressure onto that Orianna, and I think that is the ticket to go for them to get some good leads.
Actually, yes. We did see that in the early game, Oriana did struggle there a bit. Of course, we talked about this mobility, the early game damage, and the charm coming out from Ari can be very difficult, or can be difficult rather to deal with, especially if you're an Oriana that is not yet set on level 5, but now she does have her Shockwave available. So maybe you're gonna be seeing more 1v1s later on, but that will be the dash in and the charm. You have the orb coming out as well. Apparently, she was not able to use her ignite, and Oriana still gets to see the light of day.
Well, even with the ignite, I don't think it's going to be enough to drop in it from the get-go. You take a look at how much health bar she has, and also considering the fact that she could easily shield herself to negate a little bit more. It's not too worth it, but Polycaton probably thinking that, hey, I want to at least show you what I can offer. Here comes Hectic Ultimatum, dropping in.
That will be the Flag and Jag, and then the Cataclysm. I kind of feel bad for the Jace here because he just ate 2 major ultimates, and he will be paying with that for his life. And it will be the first kill going over to GS Yugen. 13 seconds before the first Drake and the first crowd will spawn. Looks like BTR will have a bit of a leeway because they will be able to have first dibs on the Drake area. Let's see if GS Yugen will go with the trade, or are they gonna try and contest?
Spotted by a ward, AE walking down the river. But then again, speaking of wards, I guess early on we saw a little bit of overextension that costed the Jay's life, but a very quick work from GS Yugen to secure the Rift Herald as they trade out on the Cloud Drake. I guess all's fair in love and war, and I don't expect too much of a goal lead from either side, but Yugen's only got a slightly bit more with 400 gold, which isn't all too substantial for now. And look at that! Quickly dropping that Rift Herald up top, forcing BTR Cillax to respond.
Yeah, we get the Rift Herald, we trade a turret immediately. They knew that GS Yugen is, rather BTR is in a different part of the map, so this pretty much gives them a bit of a leeway, but there won't be any leeway for Orianna because she ate that Moonfall, and the kill went over to Ari. Yugen trying her best to throw out some feathers, but she ate some damage as well. With that, it will be space created, and BTR Cillax will be able to hold their ground at the Dragon Lane side. Right on cue, Camille was able to pick up her Triforce 5 minutes in.
Wow, well, that's pretty quick if you ask me. Even the Gargoyle Enchantment coming up for Cillax, well, they make quick work for a turret trade, although it's slightly slow to get their dips onto the first turret to be secured, and therefore you can still get a lead, but solo kill up top.
Someone let this Camille calm down. Like, I thought the C was for calm down, but no. She is really going ham on the Dragon Lane side. I have to remind you, that is a Jace. And Jace does not have the damage in the early game. And it's very, very crucial for me to be able to snowball and get all those tankiness, those damage in by the mid game. But no, Camille does not want any of that, and it is a 2-0 in favor of GS Yugen at the Dragon Lane side. But looking at the mid lane, the Dragon Laners made their way up one lane, and it looks like no one's actually fully committing, but there are pings going down on the Dragon Lane side. It looks like Princess tried to catch Ari off guard, but Ari, with the sufficient wave clear that she has, was able to stay alive.
Well, if we turn back to the first few minutes, I'll hold that thought to that because we have a fight going down.
What is analysis? You have the Cataclysm and then the Moonfall coming to the end. It's the first one to say goodbye. Charm are going to connect onto one, but that will be at the back lane side. No fallout from BTR. It will be a 1-0 in favor of GS Yugen. And it all started because their opponents just tried to steal their buff. You cannot get my buff.
Yeah, I felt like they were overzealous. They don't really have full setup of vision to troll, and now here comes the dive as they are looking to get that knockup onto Aya with even the accident ultimatum. They'll be able to take him down easily. But with Dom coming in, Me will get one, but will be traded for Isaiah a little bit late as well as they will jump in. Better storm for being popped, but he will not be able to survive. Well, Lawless not too deep into the turret range, so I guess BTR even the odds.
Actually, it's kind of difficult to try and run away from a Camille with the Hulk shot and an tactical sweep. And what happened there was she just said, okay, I don't want to give my EXP and other gold to the opponent. Might as well give it to someone who already took down. That's why she went back into the turret, but that will be a turret dive for the side of BTR. Knockout from Afan. Ari trying to flash out, and that will be a killing spree going over to Princess. First champion down in that skirmish. No follow-up at the very least. It will be 6 and 6 on the scoreboard with a 2k goal lead in favor of GS Yugen.
Not gonna lie, that looked like a little bit of an air ram where they dove in just with the touch of a few minutes, but they don't really have all too much to work with. Here comes a little blast, but Yugen should be able to make a quick work out of the way, as she will be able to jump back into the range of the Xayah. Now we got both the Drake as well as the Herald being spawned up in a few seconds here. We got Static Shiv completed for Aya. Gonna be able to offer more of the DPS in those battles. And MaiLinh having the quick shot out of the way, they're just gonna play a little bit more defensively until they find an opening here by the river. But look at mid though.
Looks like that is the opening, but of course the Prince Charming saves the day. He was able to just swoop in and save Yugen's life. There will not be any kills at the mid lane, which is the green light for GS Yugen to make their way down at the Dragon Pit and try to get their hands on this Infernal Dragon. Of course, BTR Cillax will try to go with the good side with the Galaxy coming through, and Princess does get charmed, but apparently the first charmer is the one that got bursted down. Camille gets it on Diana. Ari is at the back line, being able to get all the kills in her pocket. Beautiful shotgun coming through, but looks like it will still be a double kill going over to Ari, and MaiLinh gets one kill as well. A shutdown on J4. That was a 5-2 in favor of BTR and one mid lane turret to beat.
Wow, that could have actually been cleaner, but I like how it ended up. BTR Cillax having AE to jump right in, and she managed to moonfall on top of 3 members to disposition majority of the members of GS Yugen on that past team fight. Though they managed to win that fight, they only got 1 turret out of it, and ideally you want to also get that Infernal Drake. But oh, another pickup going in, and I'm not too sure if you want to step too deep in the jungle.
Yep, that will be a knockup airborne, and still it will be the kites connecting. The roots is gonna come down. It's gonna be a beautiful ultimate coming out from Leona, and Rakan will be able to flash to the side, flash his way into safety. No casualties just yet, but BTR, it looks like they're scaling pretty well. I mean, Ari was in a good position. They were able to get an ace earlier on, and Aya is pretty much well protected. Cillax as well as me, they are doing really well being the frontliners.
Indeed, and you just look at the range advantage that BTR Cillax has with Aya in just going in for those long-range taps, and you have Poli Katan, who could easily trump anybody at the forefront. So it makes it a little bit difficult for GS Yugen, especially with this death ball setup from BTR. And now they're hoping to also get their hands on the second Rip Herald, but there will be a little bit of interference here with dive.
Ari gets that referral. There will be a knockup connected on the 2, as well as the quickness. First kill going over to GS Yugen. Beautiful moonfall as well as the shockwave. And it looks like BTR will go with the re-engage. It will be a 2-for-2 so far. But looks like GS Yugen, they still want to get all those kills. But this kill shot coming out from Jace was just a problem. So they decided to just back away.
You just look at that blast ticking off the health bars, and just Yugen immediately said, okay, nope, we're not telling you that, Jace. We're just gonna hold back. We lost that Herald like minutes back. So we take a look at both ends of the things that they really want to achieve. I guess GS Yugen were only a few steps away, and they gave a little bit more priority to Bigatron to take over the pit. So they can only possibly take a life or 2, and BTR now having to go on a reset. As much as they may not have this huge control over the map, they could still have a little bit more leeway to shove up top, and it's going to be a 2 versus 1. I don't think it's wise for Minute to stay underneath.
Looks like she still tried to overstay her welcome, and that will be the punishment. That's Hello? Where did that come from? One shot, one kill apparently from Aya, and that will be the Oriana falling down at the hands of BTR, as well as the last outer Baron lane turret. They still have their
Oh
herald
no.
up. I'm still looking where will GS Yugen try to go with the trade, but apparently they are struggling as well. Charms coming through. Full damage taken.
Wow.
Moonfall has been committed as well. That will be an unstoppable Ari and Yugen still at the back line, but it will be a 4-2. Camille tried to hold out, but she paid for that with her life, and BTR Cillax will be able to get away with smells on their face. But then here is Jfar with the cleanup, orb being thrown out. He gets that double kill, gets a kill onto Diana. Aya tried to flash away, but it looks like GS Yugen with a tanky frontliner, they were able to hold out pretty well.
Wow, I love the response coming in from Princess, and you saw they were hoping to come in with a split push of their own on the backdoor from the bottom lane, but it's not going to be working well when you have the day starting in. But instead, she took the road less travel, and she managed to find 2 pickoffs just in the blink of an eye. For me, hoping to get something right here as they are being chased by the Basan couple. Shockwave dropped it.
Shockwave is gonna jump in, but then here comes Camille for the flank. It will be the stage is being popped, and Aya says goodbye. The pass has been procced as well. She wants to look for me, but this Jace was able to run his way into safety. That is gonna be a jump in and on Moonfall. Saya does get bursted down. She gets fried in the mid lane like fried chicken, but 13 minutes in, it will be 17 to 14. BTR still has that lead as well as the lead when it comes to her takedowns. So now, what do you think are the things GS Yugen should do to, come back from this best of 1?
Well, all they have to do is just stall the game and hoping that Lawless can actually find a few good takeoffs. And in this fight, it's going to look a little bit dicey here. Princess jumps right back in.
She is gonna jump in, and then it will be the shockwave connecting onto 2. That 3v3 resulted to no one dying, but a lot of ultimates and skills are now on cooldown, and BTR just made their way into the Dragon Pit yet again. Princess pretty low, however, she still does have her GA, so maybe that's a bit of leeway if ever they would want to contest, but no contestation, space created, and Cillax will be able to get their hands on yet another Dragon Buff.
I love how coordinated the attacks were as BTR. They like to flush it out, burn some flashes, and make damn sure that every utility has been expended before they go in for those huge objectives. Now, there is a killing spree down bottom, though, as we have a 1-for-1 trade, I hope. And Aya moves in, challenging on this 1 versus 1, and that hoot shot, though it did connect, the damage was not good enough to bring down Aya.
Yeah, if you have knives, if you have that hextech stuff, it won't do anything when Caitlyn just points her gun at you. That will be the outplay or 1v1 in favor of Aya, but that was very, very close. I mean, if Camille was just able to hook shot her way back and give the stun, or at least stun Aya a bit, could have been in her favor. I was about to say that in the 12 or 13 minute mark, GS Yugen did not have any vision in the Baron Pit. But now, looking at the ward placements, yeah, they can see pretty well in the Baron Pit now. They also have 1 ward in that Death Brush at the mid lane. Cillax still looking for their next possible target. You have Leona at the front line. They're gonna try to go with a surprise kill, and that will be the stun connecting for the storm being popped by this Saya. Here comes Ari. Good positioning. It will be the Rakan and saying goodbye. Jace jumping in with a teleport, but that is going to be Leona say goodbye as well. Caitlyn was able to get that kill onto Saya. Stage is being popped, but it looks like Camille will also fall down. It will be a double kill going over to Caitlyn. Make that a killing spree. 21 and 16. It is a 3-1 in favor of BTR Cillax.
Yeah, and I felt that GS could have actually played that one out better. You mentioned about how well they've been able to light up the map. They should have actually seen this rotation coming from BTR, and you just see the majority of them just getting cut up. Though they were going on for chase, those trades always go in the favor of BTR. Now look at the Baron's health bar. dropping very quickly. They're going to be still come for Princess. The spike did not go through, and that will be Princess given off for that attempt.
That was close enough. I really thought she'll be able to steal that, but it was a nice try from Princess. But now it is gonna be a 4-5 matchup, and BTR Cillax, they are making their way into the Baron lane and the mid lane. Yugen has very good wave clear. You also have Camille jumping in with a hexing ultimatum, but he ate a lot of AoE CC. Here comes A. That is gonna be the moonfall being committed. Yugen gets caught up. So much damage coming through. He does pop that stakes, but they forgot the Nexus, and that will be the game going over to BTR Cillax. I thought there was still gonna be a fight, but they're very sneaky on that Nexus takedown.
Well, that's a great attempt at a team fight, but they forgot to even check the Nexus when the Baron buff was intact. And you saw me just went directly into the Nexus to directly take off all the bars. And we look at that final few fight, and BTR was dominating in all front. Kudos to BTR Cillax. They've been able to navigate their way, and you just take a look at that death ball that they set up, and you have so many ways possible to just lock somebody down, even though majority of the members of GS Yugen had this ideal dive composition. They haven't been able to unify that in majority of the team fights.
I have to agree. It feels like it was just a communications problem because individually they're very strong. You actually see all the small outplays Yugen did. Camille was very powerful in the early game as well. You also have Princess with those good cataclysms, flag and jags. It just so happened that when it comes to the macro play, BTR Cillax was really ahead, but what a way to start the night, am I right? We have really talented ladies playing Wild Rift in the Wild Rift Showdown for FSL, and we are gonna hop into a very, very short break, but when we come back, we will be greeted with another best of one.
Welcome back once again to the FSL Wild Rift Showdown as we feature League of Legends Wild Rift for the entire evening. I'm here with Yuuko PH and my name is Qontra, and all of this is presented to you by Intel and supported by Yahoo as they are our official media partners. So we've already got our very first series finished up and we have BTR Cillax, who's currently leading the leaderboard, as we'll take a look in our bracket later on to see who's coming up next in our upcoming Best of One series. So Yuuko, that was a fantastic way to start off our evening, and now that leaves me wanting more. And we saw how BTR Cillax actually dominated the matchup, even though they didn't really need all these high crowd control. And guess what? Speaking of domination, you can dominate the rest of your competition with the 12th gen Intel Core. It divides so you can conquer.
Right. Of course, do not forget that we are live in different platforms. We have one Facebook Live, one YouTube Live as well, and of course, we are also live on Twitch. So, to follow up on what happened in our first best of ones, yeah, you really don't need a lot of AOE CCs. You just need very good team fights. You gotta focus on the macro because, of course, our ladies already has strong micro. We're gonna hop into the pick and ban phase for our second best of one. The teams will be Okay, I'm gonna try to pronounce this my best way possible. Kay Shashalala and KLX Ghost.
Well, you got it right on your first go, and I was about to say shalala in the morning, but it's already up to the evening, so we go sha-sha-la-la. Okay, so with that out of the way, we are already getting a few bands who's pretty much locked in, and that's the Tresh being eliminated along with the Ari, so that's definitely targeted at the mid laner of KLX Ghost, denying a little bit more mobility as well as that potential burst pickup by a mage assassin. But then again, we've had probably a lot more of the options still on the table, and we're seeing Diana being hovered and Millie being banned by KLX Ghost.
Wow, okay. From the previous best of ones, the four champions that got my attention were Jace, Ari, Diana, and Camille. Three of those got banned in the second best of one. So Jace somewhere there, I guess. I hope he comes through. But no, I jinxed it. I called it. I take full responsibility.
Well, I guess that we've already seen how much a Jace could have actually
Mm-hmm.
offered in the mid-game spike, where you have so many of all these great itemization builds that he can go right into, especially when you have the newly introduced Edge of Night in this preseason patch.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we're starting off our draft, we have that Fiora being locked away. So what's still available for that top lane domination? I'm hoping to see a Renekton, but they start off with the Galio. A really good pick for Kay Shashalala.
Yeah, you would want a very tanky frontliner and one that can just taunt your opponent. So with Gaia already locked in, it looks like KLX Ghost would want to prioritize the lovers duo. Sai and Rakan still making a debut for our second series, and looks like there is a hover on J4 and a lock-in at that. They could possibly pick up a Baron laner. Looking forward to a Renekton or a, I don't know, Caitlyn if they if they're feeling pretty brave. But again, you also have other champions like Fiora. But oh, she got banned. I forgot about that. Irelia is the next best Baron laner available, and Kay Shashalala will lock that in.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised if this Irelia goes up to mid lane as well. We could still put the Gallo into the support role and then
Mhm.
still do absolutely fine. And we see Vera now swapping that hover from a Seraphine into a Ziggs, and I think that's pretty smart of her to do so. Judging for the fact that if you put that Seraphine up mid, you could easily get jumped on by Irelia, and when that Vanguard's edge comes through, there's no way to run, even if you want to drop that Encore. So Renekton, as you have predicted as well as I do, will be picked up by KLX Ghost.
Yep, so you have a. I actually believe that aside from Fiora, Renekton is arguably the best Baron laner in the meta. So I'm actually happy that we got to see a crocodile for this second series. And here is the second rotation of the bans, but we'll only be having 3 bans for tonight. And looking forward to seeing again who will be the marksman for the ladies in blue. Could be, I don't know, could be Caitlyn if they want to. There was a hover on Vi earlier, but they opted to something more team fight centric. So they just locked in that J4. Irelia, I love her mobility as well as her single target stuns, but she can be very demanding in the early game. Demanding in the sense that she needs to be able to snowball, get the farm, get the items, because if she doesn't, mid to late game, she will just be food for the opponents.
Indeed, and as we proceed to the second half of the draft, we see a little bit of a change of hover once again for BTR Vera, as she's hoping to make that mid matchup into somewhat of a Baron lane matchup. If you put a Wukong against it, or really if she ever goes mid, I think it's still very viable, and you won't really have too much of an issues. But with the Ziggs being picked up, I guess that's where they just gotten themselves a better amount of magic burst damage potential. Shashalala herself locks in the Nami, and I think that this is definitely the best way to go around with that
Lucian?
full wombo combo that can come out of their comp right now.
Yeah, still waiting for the ADC, but the Ziggs lock in means that this will most probably be placed in the mid lane. We have the ball delivery system. If you have Ziggs, I think it's the bomb delivery system because he can just throw Mega Inferno Bomb in whichever lane that he likes. But there won't be any Lucian for the side of Kay Shashalala. Instead, it will be an Ezreal, a mobile ADC that has a global ultimate to, try and match out the presence that Ziggs can provide.
Indeed, and I absolutely love Ezreal in this current meta. You could still put him in mid lane, and oftentimes and he'll still be absolutely fine, but most likely than not, it's just going to be a traditional marksman down on the bottom lane. Now, if you were to look at how things fare for the bottom laners, it feels like the poke should be good enough to lower down the health bars of Zaya or even Rakan, and KLX Ghost really has to rely on Kero here to set up the pace in order for KLX to ramp up. So, judging from the looks of it, it feels like they want to just get it snowballing from KLX Ghost and hope that Zaya could make it into the late game to become the monster to dominate Kay Shashalala. And well, Yuuko, what are your thoughts before we head into this matchup?
Yeah, for the side of the ladies in red, I think it's just hold the early up until the mid game until our Saya can just burn them to the ground. And for the side of the ladies in blue, I believe it's literally just fight, fight, fight. You'd expect Irelia to be very mobile in the early game. We're gonna see her all around, and especially she will be placed at the Baron lane this time around. A support, rather a mid lane Galio is something that I did miss, not because we don't see it, but because Galio literally gets banned almost all the time. So this Ziggs and Galio matchup will be quite exciting and enticing for me as well.
That's right. When we have pretty much matching global presence coming from both ends, while I really do wonder how well does this Arila fare against this Renekton. It's always going to be a skill matchup, as Ray, she'll just be hanging right back, don't want to be poked, and that ward spots both Ghost as well as her fellow laner in form of Justice, just to Gia as they will back away. So Ghost is clear for now.
Yeah, it's actually a very chill laning phase aside from, if you're Galio, because it's not very chill to see that your opponent is throwing bombs at you. And for the Baron lane side, I mean, Aurelia was able to shove some waves in and just keep Renekton at bay. So that's a bit of a leeway for Shashalala. And no invades, no ganks just yet. They would want to focus on wrapping up on damage, except for that small skirmish at the Dragon lane. There was a grand entrance, I believe, from Gia. Sadly, Ghost was not able to follow up, and the team Kay Shashalala was able to hold their ground. There will be the Sato charge coming through. Will not connect onto Reggae, but looks like Kero. Man, for someone that cannot pronounce the letter R, this IGN is hurting me.
Well, don't worry, I'll get you covered for that. Just some slight pokes going around as both sides of the scuttle will be secured by respective junglers. And we want to take a look whether or not Kero will be dropping an early visit down bottom lane. Grand entrance sort of being used up as the aftershock goes through. A lot of damage expended onto Shimmy as she stays alive with a few honey fruits that's being left on the ground. But Kero has been spotted up by the Vision Ward as well. The bubble will not connect, but that should just at least negate the danger that's coming within reach.
They knew that Kero is down the Dragon lane side, which pretty much gives an opening for J4 to try and get a pickoff at the Baron lane. It will be Varia with that stun. Single target stun, it will be a flag and drag, not gonna be connecting. At the very least, he was able to dash his way into safety. So far, still a pretty even ball game. Very different from the best of one that we saw earlier, which of course it was all about fight, fight, fight. But now they're kind of calming down.
No worries, we'll get back into the action in a short bit. But when we take a look at how well the Renekton has been able to handle the pressure, we saw Vera was spotting out the invades coming into the golems. But then again, with that slice and dice, you could easily just navigate your way out of it, and Renekton remains to be that hot prior pick hitting into the Baron lane. So I assume that there won't be too much of a hassle, especially when she hits that level 5, so she could just easily pop Dominus and just get out with just enough HP bars. But that's, of course, a little bit of assumption of what goes down. Before we hop right back in, you definitely have to check out all the brand new offerings from Intel, and with the latest 12th gen Intel Core, it divides so you can conquer, and it divides so you can stream and sketch, edit, render anything you want. It's all doable with the 12th gen Intel Core.
I have to say it. Qontra will conquer. It was playing in my mind during the break before we hopped into our current best of one. But yeah, still a very calm match, and we're gonna hop into the game. Ezreal's barrier already up. It was a good try from Ghost as well as this Recon to try and burn it out. I just have to say though, the Gia and Ghost connection, it's very strong. It's very aggressive. They were able to push Ezreal as well as Nami back, but it looks like KLX Ghost will have first dibs on this Rip Herald. J4 staring at the sides.
That's a great knockup, and immediately follow up with a tidal wave, knocking onto 2, but they leave Carol B. Vanguard's edge just whipped by the edges, and that's another bubble coming in, and 2 global almost expended as they try to contest, and Kay Shashalala gets the Herald, but with what at stake? The kill going over to the Renekton as Vera hops over the back lines to take down Mei on, and also Shashalala was taken out pretty early.
That was a 2 for none in favor of KLX, and I believe it was a good banger coming out from Shashalala. It just so happened that it did not connect, and apparently the feathers are connecting from Ghost. It will be the, of course, Mystic Shot being sent out, but no one will die in that skirmish just yet. I believe KLX did try to go with the full-on 5v5, but the Aqua Prison from Gamblings just stopped them, so that's a good bubble from Nami. Here comes Gia trying to get someone, but apparently the grand entrance will not come through, and KLX, either they would want to get the dragon or this is just a dragon dance.
It's a little bit of dance between the two of them. They do have pretty much the ult unavailable, so you're not going to be able to get the Dragon's Rage off, but that's going to be the Herald taking a few bars off. A little bit more gold, but there is the Dragon being stolen by Kay Shashalala, and they immediately bursted down the Lee Sin to secure what was supposedly KLX Ghost's Dragon.
My job here is done. That was the line from Irelia right there. KLX thought it will be a free Drake, but no. Kay Shashalala just made things happen, and I believe I saw a Yomu's Ghost Blade first item for this Lee Sin, but it's is gonna connect onto this Zig. Small skirmish here and there, and Galio, the rock, this flaming rock, just took down the bomber.
Man, that feels pretty bad, I gotta say. And here comes the entrance coming out there while they could not bring down Gamblings just in time, but the final kick will secure it for Kero. And Jimmy could only watch as she tries to pick them up. Oh my word!
Oh my!
What a true shot barrage to catch a double kill. All perfectly lined up for Kay Shashalala.
And here's the thing, he was initially, she initially was the target, and they took down the support instead, and Ezreal, okay, I have a global ultimate, you guys are lined perfectly, double kill, and then the sun's coming through, bombs being thrown out. Renekton was not able to secure the kill, but at the very least, they will be able to protect this first outer mid lane turret, but until when? Because the ladies in blue looks like they would really want to constantly pin down the pressure.
Yeah, and I think that was probably the most magnificent true shot barrage that I've witnessed in quite a while, I must say. And, you know, KLX Ghost, they could have walked away scot-free if only they diverted their attention away. And there was honestly no reason for them to walk back towards the range of that honey food. Yeah, sure, you might want to share it eventually, but then again, they were nowhere close by. Now more pressure coming in from KLX Ghost to dive right in. Shashalala tries to lock them all down in the turret's range, but she gets bursted off instead. No escaping, especially we have Huangbei, who's putting up the Mega Inferno Bomb, and that's the first turret for KLX.
Silver lining, with that one kill, KLX Ghost used 3 ultimates. So maybe for the re-engage, Kay Shashalala will have a bit of a leeway now. Beautifully timed the satchel charge, being able to push Ray Ray back. But looks like Galio alongside this J4, who still has the GA by the way, will be able to get their hands on this mid lane turret. Sounds connecting, Ray Ray being able to use Proto Belt just so the kill will not be secured. There's a trade at the Dragon Lane side. The ladies in blue was able to put a significant amount of damage onto the turret down there. Pings going through. It looks like they would want to get their hands on this Rift Herald.
Right, you got the Solari Charge Blade already up and running for the Xayah, offering a little bit more of a good damage into these team fights, as majority of the KLX members have already taken over control up in the top side of the river to secure the Rift Herald without any form of altercation from Kay Shashalala, and maybe they might just consider dropping this Herald early, but majority of the members of Kay Shashalala are defending up the mid lane.
Yeah, it looks like let's just hold the Herald for now. Maybe win a team fight before we place it in the mid lane, or maybe even in Dragon lane. So buffs are up, and Lee Sin was able to secure his very own, unless he wants to give it to Ziggs. Okay, he's gonna give that over to Ziggs. And it looks like it will be the usual 1v1 yet again for Aurelia as well as Renekton. Renekton making his way up at the Baron lane. Cloud Drake already up, just in time for Ziggs to get the Rabadon. So maybe it's go time for our two teams.
Well, that's a perfect bubble on top of the Lee Sin, and with her backing down from this fight, this is going to be easy dragons for Kay Shashalala to secure. And Mega Inferno Bomb just to hope for the best as they immediately go in with the Pro Belt, almost taking them down. But it's a killing spree as they drop in with Vegas, locking them down as well. Power Whip will connect towards Vera while they continue the chase. She be inside of the pit, but it will be a dash coming out for the Gallo and straight to the Tiger's Den. KLX Ghost managing to find a 1-for-1, but Gia didn't have to get that knockup done. Vera coming in, slice and dice, aiming for Jimmy, but she won't be able to get it with the dome being popped up. That will flush out the rest of Kay Shashalala, and KLX Ghost regains control up in the Dragon Pit.
I think that was a win for Ghost because Gia was chased by 3 champions, and you know how slippery a Rakan can be, as slippery as this Rakan as well as this Renekton. And it will be the kill going over to KLX and the life of the Cloud Dragon. Kay Shashalala was too focused on Gia that they forgot, wait, there's still Saya. There's still a Lee Sin. Oh no, Lee Sin actually died. There is still a Ziggs. There's a lot of damage that you will not be able to tank, and looks like that will be the nail in their coffins as well as the nail onto the turret. Another turret secured for KLX Ghost.
Momentum starting to fall up here, or should I just say ramp up to speed. KLX Ghost just knowing that as they have the ball in their court, they could just shove in with majority of all these huge ticket items that's already built up. Now we take a look into some of the builds. Mayan just bought the Sunfire King along with the GA, so they just got to ensure in the next team fight this Jarvan gets the substitution. And speaking of that, that's V calling coming in, and they will chase onto Gambling. Mega Funnel Bomb for that killing spree secured by Florong-B.
Yep, and looks like they want more blood. That will be the stuns connecting on the 2, and it'll be a jump in for J4. He'll be able to get 2, and here comes Heroes, and that's where the star being popped by the side of KLX, but it will still be a double kill going over to Aurelia. She gets bombed down by the Ziggs, though. A shot down on the night, and looks like they're still trying to look for kills. J4's GA is still healthy, still alive, and overall it was a 2-for-1
Jimmy,
in
though.
favor of Kay Shashalala.
Jimmy stole the blue buff just in the nick of time with the final shot. But that was an interesting skirmish between the two of them, where we saw Mayan barely surviving, almost popping that Guardian Angel, especially with the smite coming down. He managed to walk away with a little bit more health bar, and I guess they managed to go in with a certain even trade. Now, slightly behind, Kay Shashalala just have to look for that perfect opportunity to bring them down. If they do get a pick onto Shashalala herself, that will be the best case scenario. And you know how slippery an Ezreal is when it comes down to moving into these team fights. And you have to deal with Gambling also. But here comes the knockup of Gia, forcing a flash, but they will come in with a taunt. Tidal Wave onto 2, and Shashalala didn't really manage to hit anybody with her blades, and Ray just goes into put a little bit of a push and pull, and I guess they want to secure a little bit more vantage points up on that Baron.
You were literally just talking about how mobile and slippery an Ezreal is, but apparently no one will be mobile if you have 5 champions or 4 champions pinning you down. They were able to get their hands on the life of this ADC. 9 seconds of leeway for KLX Ghost, but it looks like they're still gonna burn out the time here at the mid lane, looking for one mistake from Team Kay Shashalala. I think it was a good pressure coming out from Gia. Used Proto Belt, but at the expense of a flash from a Nami. And it looks like it will be a sneaky Baron take from the red team.
They're
But
spotted
it
out.
will not be sneaky anymore.
And they were basically walking on top of the ward, and immediately they had to call this one off. KLX taking preemptive measures not to be caught out from the potential move of Kay Shashalala as they seeked out Gia. They still have the mid lane shoved out, but they will have to attend to the side lanes. Both sides being pushed with the minions. And even though they're on this gold deficit, I believe as it goes into that late game, you got to take a look at how Jimmy navigates through those team fights. And that true shot barrage was only the initial statement. And you look at the health bars going down. Baron is still at 60% health. Shashalala drops in the Vanguard's edge. They won't be able to connect any one of these elements as they clear off some wards being placed on that Baron pit.
That was a good stun, and you also have Mystic Shot being sent out just to make sure that Renekton will not be able to chase after Aurelia. Now, the Baron is a difficult quest to conquer. Looks like the blue team will just make their way down into Dragon Pit. They'll be able to burn this one down quickly, and then here comes KLX Ghost. Not sure if they're gonna go with Engage.
Yeah, and that was a quick takedown. And with 2 Drakes up for Kay Shashalala, this will help them to survive team fights a whole lot better. With a perfect jump of the grand entrance, they fly too. And that kick lands onto Ray Ray. She'll not be able to pick it out even with the flash. A great pickoff, making it 11-7 for KLX. And now what they should do is to press on the attack. Gia always initiating in this team fight, now needing to dash back off. Dodges the Aqua Prison, and Kay Shashalala just got to get that one up. They need to ensure that they find that opening pick, but then again, Ghost can always pop that Featherstorm.
I commended Gia early. I will still commend Gia for this. That pick-off was made possible by her. Still, she was not taken down. Looks like Shashalala's being chased.
Oh boy, Gia this time being caught up, and it's a perfect lockdown coming in from the Jarvan as the Cataclysm drops in, but there's no follow-up, and she will be punished. Mayan will have to say goodbye, and this time, KLX goes. Knowing for the fact that the jungler is down, it's the perfect time for Baron as they try to secure this within grasp. Redemption will have some vision being spotted out by Kay Shashalala, but can they make it in time though? The Baron will go over to KLX's Vanguard edge, will drop in. Sasha dives in, but won't be able to find it picked off against any KLX members as they have their health bars melted down.
Yeah, circling back to the fight in that mid lane, that was the best possible setup for the ladies in the blue side. You have Cataclysm, also have Tidal Wave, as well as that pushes Barrage. I guess the problem there was either they lacked the damage, but I don't think so because it's a late game, or KLX was just very tanky. So I think it's the latter because they were able to survive that. And here comes Gia yet again with that jump in.
Easily dives back to safety, as Ghost is going to provide a little bit more extra range on the shields. Now with the Baron buff, they will exert the pressure up mid, and if they could possibly get that satchel charge off, it's going to be an easy takedown. Gamblings is just getting nuked down with the Mega Infernal Bomb. They have to give this turret up while slot lanes are being shoved with this 1-3-1 formation coming out of KLX Ghost, still pressing on the attack, but Shashalala goes in with the stun. It will have to burn a flash.
Ouch.
Not the wisest of move, but they are coming in with some dire attempt to save this best of one.
Yup, they are trying their best, but looks like KLX Ghost is just knocking onto the face of Kay Shashalala in different lanes. They are constantly applying the pressure, and I have to say, Ghost really hurts a lot. I do not blame Aurelia for splashing to the side of the Chom coming through. You have Gia chasing Ray Ray, and it looks like it will be a jump in for J4, but instead she paid for that with her life stuns coming through, and Ghost is still at the base of Kay Shashalala. Proto buff in, Lucian Barrage in, you have a dash in, taunts connecting, but the shield will still be too much. The damage will not be able to penetrate the lives of their enemies, and now you have a jump in for Renekton, but Renekton is a-okay.
Look at Vera, she's literally 1 HP, and Gia managing to save her just in the nick of time once more. That's literally 13 the last I checked, so they gotta be at least counting their lucky stars. Now, good case scenario for Kay Shashalala, with that full push, they still have the Nexus pretty much healthy, but the problem is they only had a single inhibitor left, and now
Yes.
with the most valuable Drake spawning up as the Elder Dragon is currently online, and KLX have got full control. A little bit of vision being set up while Kero moves in, spots out Shashalala, and they get that perfect dodge.
My.
Gets the Dragon Strike as well. She will use the Zanya for the moment, and here comes the hero's entrance and the title whip connecting off the tree. She is all alone. Can she find everybody? Yes, she will. Gets the knockout down, counts to set them back, but this is going to cost Kay Shashalala the game as they race down the base, taking down Gatlinks as well. Only Shimmy left surviving, but she won't be able to fight against 4 healthy members of KLX Ghost, and this is the last hurrah. Can Shimmy defend? I think there's only a few seconds left on the clock. Nobody's gonna be coming out from the base, and this is KLX Ghost getting their first win in the league.
I thought it will be a 1 ADC in a dream, but apparently you have a lot of minion waves pushing in. The death timers were too high, and KLX Ghost was able to win that. It all started when, again, it was because of, if you're gonna look at it, it was because of Gia. The Sonic Wave connected from Lee Sin, and Gia jumped in. There was a knock-up. It basically forced their opponents to panic for a bit, because are we gonna re-engage? Are we gonna try and get away? But the response and the communication from KLX Ghost was very much on point, and they just stormed, got those kills. Need I tell you, that is a Saya with a 27k damage and a Ziggs with almost 40k damage. So they were very much confident with that take, and with the 4 champions down and Ezreal the only one left up. Ezreal also did not have to shoot Barrage in that moment. They were just pretty much ready to take down the Nexus, and the Nexus they did take down.
What a performance coming out of KLX Ghost, and you saw that perfect jungle support duo going in to start fights, and majority of the time, even if they don't get that pick off, it's always going to be a flash being traded for, so it's absolutely worth it. And majority of the case, you look at most of the players coming from Shashalala not being able to respond after having some of all these summoning spells already being burned up. They didn't even need that Elder Drake to finish off what was basically theirs as they took over the map control. But with that beautiful game, I believe that Shashalala will still have some chances left with more matches to come. But this win definitely put KLX Ghost all the way up into the top of the bracket, tying things up with the victors of our first game. And with that being said, this is the FSL Wild Rift Showdown featuring League of Legends, as it's supported by Yahoo and also presented by Intel. We'll be coming back after a few minutes break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be coming back with more Wild Rift action.
What's better than having two best of ones? Well, we have five. At here at the FSL Wild Trip Showdown, we will still be your casters. I'm Yuuko, and alongside me is Qontra. So it's a back and forth, and I heard from a certain person backstage that whenever the games are ongoing, our dashing and beautiful female players are really on fire, especially if their teammates are like, "I will take you down. Your life is mine." And I think that's the kind of competition we would want to see in a showdown.
That's right, sprinkle some salt because things are gonna get more flavorful, and I definitely love a little bit of seasoning before we get ourselves up for our third best of one series here in the FSL Walrus Showdown, featuring League of Legends for the entire evening and for this whole week itself. So all of this is of course presented by Intel, where you should check out the 12th gen Intel core at as it divides so you can conquer. And it definitely helps you out so that you can stream, sketch, edit, render, and of course dominate your competition in every single game that you play. Now, before we get into our upcoming games, I hope that you guys have already hit that like and follow button if you're tuning in from Facebook, YouTube, or even Twitch. Of course, join in on the chat. I hope that you can support your favorite players, and if they happen to be your friend, yeah, go cheer those goals on. And we're probably ready for our upcoming series. Is we are just getting excited for what's about to happen in the next game. So Yuuko, we've already seen some hot picks coming out. We've seen Irelia going into action. Although that round wasn't all too successful for Shashalala, but I think that
Mhm.
they've been able to show us some surprises at least.
Yeah, that's true. There were a lot of surprises. Some actually went through, some did not. But something I did notice is that in our first two best of ones, there is a pickup on Saya. So she is in that I guess tier S for the ADC. She's highly prioritized because again she's very mobile. She has the ultimate to jump out of sticky situation, and you can actually re-engage if you're able to root your opponent. Speaking of Saya, speaking of drafts, we're gonna hop into the draft for our third best of one. It will be a, VEC MaiLinh versus BTR Cillax.
Yeah, and we've already had BTR Cillax securing one win for their own in the first series that was played out. Now, quickly into the bans, we are looking at Olaf as well as Camille being taken off. And usually you see both of the picks can be flexed in the jungle as well as the Baron lane, but more popularly played out in the jungle for Olaf, and of course instances of Jungle Camille from time to time. And we go down even further into the mid lane pool where you have both the Ahri as well as the Ziggs being banned away.
Yeah, and I was about to say that it's time for another Ari for Polly Caton, but no. Looks like the Ari will still be banned for this game. The last ban will be a Galio from the side of the blue. Do not want any heroes entrance, any dash in and taunts. And the last ban for the ladies in red will be a Riven. Apparently, Renekton is open if they want to prioritize that. Lee Sin is also open, and I guess that's Fiora is also open. So let's see if they're going to be picking that up.
That's right, as we start off with BTR Lenoir opting for a first pick. There's four options available, but Crocodile's gonna be swimming across the river, I believe, if they could lock this Renekton in. But hey, we haven't seen the Fiora for today, and I'm excited to see one for myself as I am a Fiora main to climb up to,
Nice.
Diamond. But then again, enough about me. It's always about the Fastine couples here being the powerhouse of our FSL Wild Rift Showdown.
Yeah, this is third game in a row that we have Isaiah and Rakan on the red side. Well, second in a row for the red side. Initially was a pick from the blue, but now Fiora did make her way out to the draft. And Varus, I was expecting a Varus for game number 2 at least, but it's okay. A bit late. But better late than sorry. Finally, VEC MaiLinh will be able to pick up that ADC. They could pair that up with a, I don't know, maybe a Nami. We don't see much Braum, so maybe we could be seeing a more tanky support for their side. Instead, they will still be securing their jungler with a J4.
Yeah, and I really do love Varus, where you could have flexibility in terms of build. If you want to scale, yeah, go for the immune and the traditional AD build. If you want to get those runouts, sure, why not? But Corki at this time is being up for grabs. You can still flex it up to the mid lane, most likely to the mid lane since you already have Xayah already being secured. You don't really want to put Xayah up in the mid. You can still get dove upon by the Jarvan. And as we go down the rabbit hole for a bit, and you still have so many champions up available, and we're hoping to see what will possibly fare evenly against the Fiora, as you still have Renekton, which is a very valuable option. We've seen Jace for our very first round coming out of BTR Cillax, and I think that might just be a good pick, especially you could possibly cook this Fiora in that early game, but late game, I think Fiora could still handle her 1v1s very well.
I actually want to see another Renekton and Fiora matchup just for the hell of it, because I've been seeing a lot even in the other pro tournament. So we will be waiting for a possible Renekton pickup for the side of the ladies in red. But yeah, so far Fiora, Varus, J4 for the blue, and Sire Khan and Corki for the red. Looking back into game number 1, Corki got banned by their opponent, so maybe this is a that was a respect ban against Polly Caton, and said she really popped off still on that Ari, but now that her Ari got banned out, it's time to bring out the Corki.
You know what I really want to see? If they could possibly match it up with a Veigar of their own. But then again, you don't really have that much of an AP burst coming up BTR Cillax. And yeah, even if you catch that Corki, probably she'll just be flying away with the Valkyrie. Now, a little bit of discussion going on. They're thinking of either Zed or Diana. Some really, really hot takes. I hope to see that happening.
I go with
Well, they are just asking for, you know, something of a different sort. Now, I did see early on there was a hover onto a Renekton band, so I'm not too certain if we're gonna get a little bit of remake or sorts, but you know, we'll just have a look at what's gonna happen in the next few minutes. Teemo being picked up. I believe this is going to be a little bit of a, you know, fun match between the two.
You know, I'm laughing because Hellgirl said sorry. So maybe it's a bit of a miscom on their side or something. Yeah, they did locked in that Zed. And Teemo got picked up from BTR Cillax, but I believe we'll be seeing a remake. But yeah, we will have to wait for the update on that. So far, I honestly would love to see a Blitzcrank support though. It's been a while. I mean, you know, looking back in the alpha test days, there were a lot of people that used Blitzcrank as support, and he was just a menace in the Rift.
Indeed, and you know what? I believe that things do get sweaty in some of all these competitions, even though it's like a fun Wild Rift Showdown show match between, you know, teammates of their own and also players from all across Southeast Asia. Those sweaty fingers can get out of hand, or should I say swipe onto champions that you don't want to select, like a Teemo that's holding on a smite. And also with the Ghost as well, I don't think that you want to run it down with that Teemo. So let's just wait for it. But then again, Blitzcrank being picked up. This is a pick that I've always wanted to see, but going up against a Rakan honestly isn't really the best option available. Like, you're just basically giving the Rakan a free grand entrance, or even just having him run around taunting everybody up. So I just don't know what's going to be the changes when we get back into our best of one draft between the two teams.
Of course. And do not forget that you have to, of course, share the live stream, invite your friends, comment down the stream which team will you be supporting. We'll be showing the fixed lineups later on. But so far, I just have to say, the match really, really kept us at the edge of our seats. Really shows that there's a lot of talented female Wild Rift players here. And are there any specific female teams that you're cheering for, Contra?
Well, I believe that I'm cheering for all of them because they are definitely giving us at least a different perspective of how you should play the meta. Like, there's so many champions currently available, and now this is that perfect turf for them to shine, as FSL Wild Rift Showdown gives them that perfect space to basically have that limelight of their own. As we will continue with our games shortly, and all this is of course, presented to you by Intel and supported by Yahoo. And we'll be right back as we will take a few minutes and we'll come back for our match between the two teams.
See, that was a very, very quick break. So now we're gonna jump back into the previous pick and ban phase. So the picks that you saw earlier, the first three picks, it will remain the same. So
Mhm.
we will be looking at the last two picks for this draft. But yeah, we have a Varus. We also have a very powerful power of love dragon laners, Saya and Rakan. Now let's see what more will they throw into the mix.
Well, I believe the bans should remain the same for our three bans on each side. And when the first few picks, the last that we remember was a Fura, Virus, as well as Jarvan for Team VEC MaiLinh. And for BTR Cillax, it should remain the same with the Vestein couples, as you mentioned, and also the Corki on their third pick. And nothing will be changed up for too much. And this time around, if we consider it to be the exact same copy of what we've witnessed, that also meant that Jarvan is up available for BTR Cillax to secure.
Mm-hmm. Now, yeah, you mentioned that you're also Fiora main, so that's something I discovered today. We're gonna talk a bit more about that later on. But now,
Uh-huh.
yeah, you obviously will not be seeing a Teemo for the side of BTR Cillax. Maybe something more like a Lee Sin or a Jax if they're feeling very brave tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's something that we usually see even in the previous tournament. But VEC MaiLinh will have the first second rotation picks, I believe, and they lack a support and a mid laner.
That's right. And as we wait for the final two bands to fade away, we're following their competition rules with only three bands. Though, of
Mhm.
course, the latest patch itself offers up to 5 bands. That'll be interesting to see in the future FSL Wild Rift Showdown for sure. But we'll stick to what we're used to, as seen back in Horizon Cup as well. Now, I do like all these emotes coming out, Lenore, just showing, yeah, I want to get my hands on the first Scuttle Crab. So let's see whether if that actually happens. Now, let's see as we navigate our way through our phases of ban. AE definitely was one of the high performer back in the first game that BTR Cillax played out. They managed to win GS in a convincing fashion, although it was a little bit of back and forth. So first Corki match. Well, I want to see
Mhm.
Power Spike coming up the mid lane.
Yeah, I would really want to see the power spike as well. Although I can't fully give an analysis yet because the ladies in blue still did not pick up their mid lane. But I guess Corky, he can be a lot mobile in the mid lane, can shred a lot of damage as well with that Gatling gun, especially in the late game. I guess my only concern for BTR Cillax is in the early game they will have to heavily rely on Diana and Rakan for the early game presence, early game power. And looking back into VEC MaiLinh, she said she wants Thresh, and Thresh she will have.
Indeed, and you just gotta give the queen what she needs. And lo and behold, a Zed up in the mid lane, the perfect pick to go against Corky. And once she's got that death mark, I believe that you just want to chase in, and either you want to force Xayah to utilize that ultimate, or even pop it onto the Corky where that Valkyrie needs to be expended, even if you have that package left available. So I want to see some style points for the EC MaiLinh, and Diana as a final pick here will give them a better chance at initiating a team fight, so long as you have this Rakan at the ready to jump in as well, with the quickness to reel them right in, and they can just shred them one after another. But the EC MaiLinh probably will have a lot of good poke potential, and also having Fiora that can possibly come in with those late game split push. So that Baron lane match is what I'm going to be setting my eyes on.
Exactly. I said this earlier. I want to see Fiora and Renekton match up, and they delivered. So thank you to the players that made my wish possible. It will be a battle of whoever gets to snowball first. But circling back into the mid lane matchup, it's press R to win for Zed here. Pop Deathmark as much as he can. Ramp up on that burst damage just to make sure that Corky will not see the light of day. But again, it will be a problem because you have Diana that anytime she can just jump in, pop the moonfall, and instead you will be the one who will get bursted down.
That's right. Let's hit right into the riff here in the FSL Wild Rift Showdown. $500 up for grabs if they can make it to the grand finals. Well, of course, that's distributed between the first as well as second place. Now, is there going to be any invades at all? Invading against a Thresh isn't really the most ideal type of way that you want to go about the fight. If that death sentence connect, someone's got to be doomed to be landed on that end of that death sentence. But everything's pretty much chill in that early game, as we'll see a little lish from both sides.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna hide in that rush at the mid, in the right side of the mid lane, but I guess they realized, oh wait, Claria is at that fish, so we don't want to be hooked in the early game. So they decided to just disperse and go back to their usual lanes. We will be having a Diana jungler this time around with the usual Saya and Rakan down at the dragon lane. That will be a good start for Claria, but apparently it will be the Grand Entrance connecting onto one. Knockup after knockup, Fish got quite the damage there, and it looks like they will be forced to play this one safely. Speaking of playing this one safely, it looks like Neef was forced to use Flash just so she can be safe from the damage that is coming out from Hellgirl.
Atta girl, like you look at Hellgirl, she's been able to not only pop some good damage with most of all these strikes, probably have found a few vital points, and the moment that Me wants to go in for a stun, she can easily respawn if she can bring it up in time. Flag and drag coming out from Rangzong, and this is first blood potentially going in favor of VEC MaiLinh, but it's a 1-for-1 trade.
I believe it will still be a good win for them because they got first blood, but Thresh actually got the kill onto the ADC. -1 and looking at the mid lane. Wow. Corky was able to just constantly pressure AZ, forcing him to go back. Piercing Ari will not connect onto Cillax, but that will be a flash and jump in. Here comes Diana and will try to get that kill onto Rakan, and the ADC goes down for the ladies in blue.
Wow, it's a close trade between the two of them, and you look at that all-in that brought MaiLinh down. I guess that Clara could have actually landed the final tap onto the Rakan, but it's a little too dangerous, especially with the presence of AEAE. Now, as we go back to a neutral stand for both, VEC MaiLinh securing some really good lead, especially with that first blood setup. As we saw that dive coming down, maybe it could have been a little bit cleaner if they juggled off and that knockup went through. I guess it will be so much harder for me to even get any trading done. Now she's got dominance, so it's gonna be harder, but Ranzong's on the prowl.
Ooh, Ranzong with the flying dragon, focusing fire onto me. Cataclysm being used, and here comes a moonfall from Diana. Instant. Okay, I thought he was gonna be okay, but Zed decided to join the party, pop that death mark, and was able to get a revenge kill. I'm not sure if Diana will be able to chase this one. Q did not reach, but then here comes Corky. One Gatling gun forces another missile, and it will be a jump in for AA at the expense of her own life, and that was a chaotic skirmish, but it's okay. In the end, I believe it will still be a win for BTR Cillax.
Well, I still gotta say that it's a worthy trade for the Zed when you take a look at the area play. That is not gonna give any more room for her to wiggle off. It's either you give that kill away to the Corky, or you try to find a pick. And with AE down, I guess at least you get away with a little bit more gold. Now the Zeds 2-1, finishing off with the Yuuko's Ghost Blade as well. Things are looking pretty well in favor for MaiLinh to eventually ramp up.
Yep, definitely in their favor. And one of the things that they can secure the lead is to get either a Dragon or a Rift Scuttler, which is now online and available. BTR Cillax will have first dibs on the Ocean Drake, but you still have J4 lurking at the sides. Flag has been popped, but you will not get Drag. Instead, Dress jumps in. He was the one that got Drag in and was able to put down the box. Here comes Corky, focus firing on two people. He will be able to use the Valkyrie, and he does jump out, forcing the flash out of him. Hellgirl jumps in with the repose and gets a kill onto Corky. Here comes Renekton with that dominance. Jump in for a con. Make that a triple kill for this Renekton. Actually, no, I believe it will be a quadra kill in favor for them. This Renekton, me is on a rampage, and that was just a clean team fight.
Wow. Just wow. Perfect timing coming in from Wii. Is this going to be the Penta? A little late for that Penta, perhaps, but it's still the Penta kill in the hands of me. Now she's going to get chased on. Clara misses the play as she continues on, and that depth sentence will be able to connect, but there will be a little bit of poke and prop between the two, and BTR Cillax navigate that perfectly.
5 minutes. A pentakill, 1 kill per minute roughly for me. But yeah, that is the best way to start your game on your Renekton. On top of that, they were able to get the Ocean Dragons, small spell bumps here and there, and me decides to try and steal the Recurl. He will also try to get the kill onto Ranzong. Kites coming through from Aya. The feathers does hurt a lot. And now VEC MaiLinh is just trying to be passive. They do not want to give any more gold, any more kills for BTR Cillax. And apparently MaiLinh thought she will be able to get the takedown onto that turret at the Dragon Lane. But me was able to teleport and defend his own terrain. And now here is a possible 3v1. But I'm not sure Hellgirl will try to commit in this skirmish.
Rank Rock coming in from the back as well. They might actually lock them all down. Now with the beautiful setup, that Cataclysm will catch 2 of the members of BTR Cillax, but they will not go down without a fight. Bring Ranzong down low. Well, the only trait that goes down is to take Cillax in that skirmish, and with that in the way, I just felt that VEC MaiLinh have gotten a good defense with the turret still stacked.
Yeah, that was a good defense indeed. The turret is very, very healthy, but a turret that is not healthy will be this one here at the Dragon Lane. Possible 4v3, but even though me got that pentacle, I don't think he'll be able to survive this. Flag and drag might be committed, and there will be a pull down onto this J4. Stuns connecting, me not being able to move at all, and it will be a small victory for VEC MaiLinh. They will also be able to get this first outer Dragon Lane turret at the expense of their mid lane turret.
Well, I gotta say, it's still a stack of gold guarded by BTR Cillax. They're taking 2 turrets at once. Well, Clara managed to save the mid lane turret, but this Herald continues to charge right in.
Wow.
And they gotta send more forces all the way down bottom lane. Rang Zong choosing to recall in the dangerous position, and the rest of BTR Cillax still on the chase, but thankfully, Rang Zong managing to get back to the base safely.
They got 2 turrets down at the bottom lane. I'm impressed. I mean, the fact that they were able to hold out that long and BTR Cillax did not prioritize their bottom lane earlier could lead to serious consequences. But now we are circling back into the mid lane. Aya clearing out the wave. Piercing arrow might be committed, but then here is a shadow from Zed. No, this will not be Naruto. This is Zed and Wild Drift, but there will not be any dead bodies for now. They are trying to get a feel on the map though. Scotland will be secured by this Diana. J4 a tad bit too late to the party, but no commitments, no fights, no pickups just yet. They're still waiting for a mistake.
Now, take a look at the top side, though. This is a Corki matching up to Zed, and you take a look at the itemization as well. She's got that Duskblade of Draktar, and easily with a full combo, you could burst down the Xayah or even the Corki. But then again, for the Xayah, she could still rely back on that Thunderstorm, which is up available. So I guess it's going to be safe for them. While you've seen in the item pool, that is an Hourglass already up online, so Corki will still go down.
Yep, Corki says goodbye, and it will be a wasted ultimate from Diana, given that Zed is a tad bit too far for the area of responsibility of that Moonfall. Now, Aya being able to pick up that Sonya. I thought someone was gonna go with the steal, but no, it will be a non-contested dragon take from VEC MaiLinh. Me is there at the backline though, popping in with that dominance. The box has been popped. Me focus firing at the backline. He wants to get the kill onto Hellgirl, but instead she was the one that got boxed in. Flash in, jump in, Cataclysm in, and it will be a double kill going over to Hellgirl. The pull did not connect, but that's okay because they were able to get 3 kills in trade to none. It will be a favor for VEC MaiLinh, and they make their way up into their Herald pit.
That's the perfect trade coming out of VEC MaiLinh, and now not only did they get the Drake as well as 3 pickoffs, this is an easy repair roll due to that perfect rotation, and with that late game coming in, Lenoir could just easily go in with split pushes, and even if you send the Renekton by now, nothing much that the Renekton could possibly hold out to, but then again, she's getting caught out. Instantly moving out with the shadows. That's what the typical Zed will do. You don't really have to burn the flash, not that she has it anyways.
Yep. Okay, so 10 minutes in almost 11 minutes. 12 and 10 on the scoreboard. We have a 4K goal lead in favor of VEC MaiLinh. They have a cleaner macro, and that's surprising because initially BTR Cillax were the ones that had the advantage. They were waiting for Cillax and Aya to scale, and me with that pentakill was able to get everything she wants on their Renekton. But other than that, it looks like the ladies in blue were able to jump their way into the lead, come back from their deficit, and possibly take down this Corki. Hellgirl doing her best to try and turn, but that will be the pro. But in box being used, Vitals being popped, Grand Challenge has been used, as well as the Flash. Stacy is being used, but I think it will be a tad bit too late because J4 is now on a killing spree.
Wow, high commitment over up top, and this time around, VEC MaiLinh just lets go of the bottom turret. Wise move, but the mid lane's being shoved as well. As you see, VEC MaiLinh just having all these advantages across the map and forcing majority of BTR Cillax to respond. It's just a Rakan all alone, but Hellgirl's dropping low. No mana, but that Ignite goes down. Not enough to take out the Fura, but here comes the rest of BTR Cillax on the chase.
Now that will be enough. Grand challenge in, and me will be able to get that kill. Jungler saying goodbye. A shutdown onto this J4. Zed at the very least was able to get away, but vision given for BTR Cillax. They can rotate, they can shift into the mid lane, and maybe get a kill onto Lenore. But no, they will not. They will not overstay their welcome. Instead, they will stick put into their plan, which is be strong in the macro game.
Yeah, BTR Cillax just have to buy time for Xayah to get her items up online. You're taking a look at the build. She's starting off with the Infinity Edge and nothing else in the back. She needs more attack speed in order to put more feathers on that ground. Well, I don't really think that she's going to be able to survive that burst that's coming out of not only the Zed, but also for the fact that the Fiora will constantly give chase and MaiLinh poking from afar. So it's not really a clear-cut answer for BTR Cillax right now, unless if you have this Renekton to have that perfect engagement. 30 seconds from now, we're going to have that Inferno Drake spawning up, and BTR Cillax still have to at least balance out majority of these waves. And here comes the setup. I'm not sure if they could get anything out of this.
Somebody
Cillax
is
on the
gonna
move.
hook. Okay, I thought someone was gonna get cooked. My heart fell for a second there, but no, there were no casualties, no fights even. 5 more seconds, and the Infernal Drake will be up. Even though Baron is up, BTR Cillax was able to place a small ward there, and everyone made their way down into the Dragon lane. It will be the piercing arrow coming through, and here comes the charm as well. Katak isn't being popped. Forky for the backline, but here comes the Moonfall. Rakan, the first one to fall down. First gets a kill onto Diana. You have these skill shots coming through for Forky and Saya, but it's not going to be enough. But here comes me with that double kill. He is very, very tanky. He gets the triple, and she is on a rampage. She came in at the right time. Killing she said though, but overall, it will be a 3-4 in favor of BTR Cillax.
You go, girl. You just take a look at that scoreline for this Renekton. 11-5. She's so confident to dive right in and take what belongs to her. That triple kill could have resulted to a Qontra if they weren't careful enough, and only one remaining member of the VEC survived, and instantly that Stasis will just pull off that ultimate from Lenore. So without the ultimate, I guess it's just gonna be harder for them to execute anybody, especially when this Inferno Drake is up online. So I'm not too certain if VEC wants to contest this.
Ooh, that piercing arrow really pierces through your heart. Not in the good way. But still, Cillax will just have first dibs on the Infernal Dragon. They have to be very careful though, because VEC MaiLinh still has the utilities to go with that steal. It's a 4-1 setup. Hellgirl is nowhere near the Dragon lane, or even the Dragon at all. The sentence has committed, and now there's the box coming through. Moonfall, beautiful Moonfall has been committed. A shutdown on Zed immediately. Varus gets a kill on the support, and apparently Varus still got bursted down by this Corki. Overall,
Insane.
it was a 2-1 in favor of Cillax, and Claria wanted to get
Oh, the
another
back
kill,
door.
but nope. Yeah, the back door from the side of VEC MaiLinh. Make sure no one will come back at the base. The pop damage coming out from Corki is a huge problem, but here comes me as well as Aya being able to defend their nexus. No backdoor, sister. Not even for this best of one. Because of the overstay, because of the death timers, BTR Cillax was able to clear out the turrets from the mid lane.
Oh no, they're seeking out Hellgirl, and she's walking into 2. And thankfully, she managed to survive. As we take a look at that skirmish earlier, it was the perfect quickness being pulled out by Cillax herself, running rounds against members of VEC MaiLinh. And that definitely got everybody in panic. And VEC MaiLinh, the only way they could respond was to take up that fight, which wasn't favorable at all. And majority of them already being caught under the crossfire of not only the Corki's damage, but Aya was in that perfect position to pull off that Baron Storm as well. Now, VEC MaiLinh wants to sneak that Baron, but then again, majority of BTR Cillax, they're just hiding right behind that pit. So kind of like a tough call for them to make. And if they lose one more fight, they're done for. So they got to make this pick happen.
Ooh, death mark onto someone that has GA. I'm not sure if that's worth it, given that it's her next and he can just slice and dice his way
Baron.
into safety, and it will be space created at the Baron. Teleport coming through as well. This is the green light for VEC MaiLinh to try and go the contest, but the box has been popped. Charms coming through as well. Another beautiful moonfall proto belt out, but everyone gets pinned down by this beautiful Cataclysm. It will be a double kill going over to Zed. The Corgi saying goodbye. And me, the last champion standing, still gets taken down by VEC MaiLinh. Shut down and an ace in favor of the ladies in blue.
That was beautiful. Take a look at how Ramzong sets it up. Not only was the Cataclysm on point, it was that flag and drag that hit onto 3 to 4 members. And they don't need the Baron. Now they will take down BTR Cillax as they march down the Nexus, and VEC MaiLinh secures their very first point. And now that's a 1-1 scoreline for BTR.
That was a beautiful back and forth matchup. You'd think that BTR Cillax will be the ones to finish off that game, but Team MaiLinh will be able to close that one out after a very, very clean team fight. I would just have to credit Varus and J4 there. They're pinned down, and the way they layered their CC was just immaculate. It was so clean. And Hellgirl was also a problem because most of their enemies would keep their eyes pasted onto Fiora just to make sure there will not be any flanks, any ganks, and it was just a really, really textbook way of finishing off a game.
I love how this game, when you see two sides having stars of their own, me dealing the most damage in this matchup itself, but not enough to pull the game back. Most of their members are already lowered down as the Baron chunked away their health bar, while they hope to commit to that fight with, like, what, 60% of HP. And that made it a lot easier for most of all the ladies from the blue to take over, though they were actually securing majority of the goal lead for most part of the game. There were instances where it was so sweaty it could have actually went back in favor of BTR.
Yep, and that was, man, these best of fronts really do not disappoint. And that was just the third one for tonight. We still have two, but yeah, that will be another point going over to MaiLinh. To the supporters of that team, do not forget to give them a congratulations. But that has been our third best of one. We have been your casters. I'm Yuuko, alongside me is Qontra. We're gonna be hopping to a very, very short break, and when we come back, we'll be seeing another best of one.
Welcome back once again, as this is the FSL Wild Rift Showdown featuring League of Legends Wild Rift. We're definitely going to be getting even more fun and exciting games here, as we are your casters for the evening. It's Qontra here, along with the beautiful Yuuko PH, as always. And you know what? We have a lot of all these powerhouse ladies who's been able to show what they're made of here in the perfect platform here being set by FSL. And all this is presented to you by Intel and supported by Yahoo, as Yahoo is our official media partner for the event. So Yuuko, I guess a few series of best of one have already concluded. We're only down to 2 matches remaining. So I guess nobody wants to walk away with 0 points to end the night. That's going to be a miserable way out of this. But then again, I hope that those that may have actually suffered the deficit might be able to bounce back up, as there's still going to be more matches to come for tomorrow. So make sure you hit that like button as well as that follow button across all of our social media platform. And let's get this show underway, as we've got the picks and bans up at the ready.
Yep, apparently these ladies really want to start strong. They want to go with the fight ASAP. So yeah, do not forget that we will have another live stream tomorrow, part 2 of this showdown. Still will start at 8 p.m. First ban though for the side of GS Yugen will be a Diana. She can be flexed in the mid lane, even in the jungle, so they would want to take this champion off of their opponent's hands. And Kay Shashalala answered that with a Zig. So no powerhouse mid laners in this game. And GS you can also ban that on Irelia.
Yeah, and I like how some of the players are already hovering their picks, and I'm taking a look at that Zed on the hands of Gambling X, and I'm thinking about whether or not will they be able to pop off, just like how in that previous matchup we've seen a dominant performance coming from some of the players that have been able to play Zed into perfection, especially when you have Death Mark to easily pop your target it's going to be something that's a menace to be dealing with. Now, the other bands being Camille as well as Gallo, pretty much standard stuff that we do see in competitive format, but that
Mm-hmm.
also opens up the Renekton for GS Yugen as the first pick.
Yep, and they lock that in. Fiora is available, but you also have to remember, Ari is open, and Saya and Rakan is available as well if ever Kay Shashalala wants to get their hands on that. Just so you know, make sure that we're gonna be having 4 picks on the Lovebirds. Literally 4 players are hovering over Ari. But yeah, it will be an Ari and possibly a Fiora, yeah, right on cue. A Fiora for Kay Shashalala.
Well, I believe that all the ladies wants to be as fashionable as Katie Ari, so that's always the high priority pick when you hit the mid lane because of how she's so mobile, but she has that spirit rush to aim down on the target. So Ezreal gets picked up, and this is high prioritization coming in for that bottom lane. And look what we have. We finally get ourselves a Nunu and Willem to be joining our rift.
Finally, the first time we'll be seeing a Nunu and Willam for day number 1. I hope this cute little champion, but can also be a menace in the Rift, will have a win in the first pickup. But you have like, oh, first time we'll be seeing a Kha'Zix today as well, if I'm not mistaken. So it will be a assassin jungler versus a initiator slash tanky kind of jungler. So Ezreal will be picked up yet again. He has a stable, pretty stable win rate for today, I suppose. Still very mobile, can just have a lot of damage. I guess my only concern is after he pops his combo, the Essence Flux and the Mystic Shot, even the Dushat Barrage, and assuming he does not have Flash, he is pretty much a vulnerable target.
Indeed, and I believe that even though he might just be vulnerable, there's still all the other members that could just easily back them up. So, as we move into the other picks and bans, those of you who are wondering, isn't this the latest patch? Isn't anybody playing the Kill or the Morgana that's kind of OP right now? Well,
Mhm.
there are ways to counter it, but then again, in competitive setting, we won't be able to let it through for the sake of, players adjusting to the meta itself. So as we go down to our second phase of the picks and bans, we're already seeing a hover onto the Alistar. And I think that this is great because you could easily just knock Nunu and Willem out of that absolute zero ultimate
Mhm.
without needing to commit too much of all the other spells. So Alistar being the CC machine here is going to be very important, and if he gets into trouble, just use the Unbreakable Will to get out of the way.
Wow, a hover and a possible luck in. Please lock that in. I would love to see a luck support for today. You know, you have like binding and you have someone that can match Ezreal's global ultimate. Imagine you were able to dodge Tush's barrage, but then you forgot there was still a final spark, and that was the one that got you. So that's a combo I'm waiting for. There is a hover on Akali. She is a hit and miss in this meta, but I would still love to see more from this ninja because she is this champion that relies on very good mechanical skills.
Now, I told you about Fiora being my main bait, but have I
Uh-huh.
told you that I'm also a big fan of Akali? So I really want to see this happen. Yes, lock that in. Huyen
Nice.
most likely will be heading to the mid lane with this pick. So this is going to be an interesting matchup up in the mid because Akali, yes, she might be kind of nerfed from the past few patches, but once
Mm-hmm.
she gets a hit, that perfect execution can strike so hard. You can even steal some of the objectives with her second strike of the perfect execution, and that's the answer to seek anybody hiding in the backline. And we're looking at Jimmy now securing that Kaisa so that if that ever were to be the case, she could just use the kill instinct, get herself or take shield to not only walk away safely, but also to assassinate any targets on the opposing end.
Ezreal and Lux versus Kaisa and Alistar. I feel like I've been transported a few patches back. Like, you know, when Maldrift was relatively new, and I like this. I like this nostalgic feeling. So as usual, Queen of the Late Game will still go to Kaisa. According to Kha'Zix, we can win. Yes, that's the
That's
spirit.
the spirit.
You can win.
Yes.
motivate your teammates. Yeah, Killer Instinct, and you also have Ari's Spirit Rush for the sidestep, Fiora with the dashes. So I kid you not when I say that this is a very mobile lineup. You also have an assassin for a jungler and a very, very tanky cow, scary purple cow at the front line. So it might give a bit of a problem for GS Yugen in the early game, but they just have to, keep on farming, keep on just being able to shift around the map and focus on those pickups, or maybe just not fight at all for the early game.
Yeah, and on the other side, you take a look at the blue team. You've also have a Renekton, and
Mm-hmm.
I believe that the Renekton matchup against Fiora is going to be quite favorable in that early game, and even to the late game, a Renekton can always contribute a little more as compared to the Fiora. Of course, Fiora is always down to positioning, and with the backup coming in from the Kha'Zix to offer even more firepower, I guess majority of the players on Shashalala's side just hopes to snowball, looking for those opportunities when they try to secure those objectives. And I hope to actually see an all-out battle between the two. As we take a look at the draft once again, Ezreal here being the main pick for team captain GS Yugen. She's just going to be able to at least have a safe laning phase, especially with the Lux guarding her. I think they're definitely off to a good start with the whole ideation of this whole composition that was picked up.
Yeah. They will be able to survive just fine, and I just actually want to see if they picked light binding for the first skill, because sometimes people pick the third, for vision. Okay, they did get the Q first, nice. So she can just bind whenever whoever they want rather. They also have matching skins. That's so adorable.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of light binding, it catches onto Chimmy, but she'll still be able to find that Void Seeker to secure a little bit more gold as the trades go through, with a little bit of a prioritization onto the Renekton here as Mayan. So we move into the Golems, gets seeked out by a little bit of a Squire's Bloom, and that ward was perfectly in place. Shashalala immediately backs off into the base to get herself a phage so that she gets a little bit more attack speed whenever she hits somebody. But Skullcrab has to be given away, and GS Yugen should be able to get this without any challenge at all.
No challenges, but Ray did try to maybe use the Orb of Deception to try and steal it, but he realized that's a 3v1 in the early game and a 1v1 here in the Brown Line in the early game, so it will not be worth it.
Yeah, and I like how both Baron Laners take Ignite, but speaking of Ignite, Princess gets burned up. It's first blood for Kay Shashalala's side. Ray getting the first dibs. Well, they will still get themselves that Scuttler, as they hope to at least shove them aside. Light Binding drops in, but Mayan isn't all too phased, even though there is vision being secured by GS Yugen.
Princess was already very, very low in that fight, and when she was just coming back, that was the perfect time for Kha'Zix to damage it further, but there will be a snowball charm, did not connect.
Well, it does hit perfectly, and that root does land onto Ray. Brings the Ari down to 50%, forcing her to retreat. May not actually miss too much of the minion wave, judging for the fact that it's the cannon minion arriving, and it won't be focus fired all too much. Doesn't really matter as she returns, hoping to secure the Rod of Ages quickly. And speaking of Rod of Ages, there's a little bit of nerf onto the Rod of Ages, but it's still a very reliable item to say the least.
Yeah, overall it's still pretty okay, but someone who's not okay is actually Shashalala, because that was a lot of damage she just ate. Luckily, there will be the honey fruit, and she will be able to go back to her lane, no problemo.
Not at all, and I guess in this early game, nobody really wants to take an L. They've already had difficult games in the past few matches. GS Yugen have lost to BTR Cillax in our very first game. Shashalala came to a close to take the point for their own. And this time, comms were perfect. We saw a lot of typing going on. And I guess now that they're all focused in, how fast can they actually type when they're, in the midst of a heated skirmish? I wonder always.
I actually want to know because for some magical reason, pro players, even though they're very skilled mechanically, they can still type in game. I could barely even perform well in game. They're just too good. Reflex is pretty much on point.
I tell you what, Yuuko, one side of my thumb has already blocked like a quarter of my screen. So honestly, yeah, I am impressed. Here comes the final spark landing onto Mayon. You have to give a little bit more room, and that allows Nunu to drop right in. They might just be able to steal this right under their noses as they give this one up. They try to dive back in, but Mayon will be dropped quickly. And Yugen moving forward, but that RPG is not going to be resulting too much, but that True Shot Barrage will chunk them all down. Flash is being popped, Charm lands, and yet again, it's Yugen to take one down.
There's just something about these. Okay, never mind. Akali jumps in and gets a kill onto Fiora. Funnily enough, GS Yugen was the one that took down GS Ray Ray. So it's a sister skirmish thing. I don't know because the moment she used Mystic Shot and got the kill onto Ray Ray. Okay, I'm out. I'm happy. It's just those funny moments. But yeah, very good to the barrage. Already was able to put such damage on Kay Shashalala's team. And they just snowball from there. Now, here they are, holding their ground at the Reparal Pit. Light Binding did connect onto Scuttler, but it looks like the ladies in red will just calmly make their exit.
Wow, they're basically snowballing right now. Only with Machine as well as a Manamune. You saw how much Yugen managed to achieve in terms of damage, and easily. This is going to be Reparal secure for GS Yugen, but a little bit of push and shove down bottom side, and GS Yugen should be responding to this. As you see, Minute just rotating quickly. They get all of the turret platings off, and Gamblings just trying to zone them away from their priority target as Jimmy walks away safely.
Headbutt did not connect. A light binding was used in the dragon lane just to make sure that no one was waiting in the bushes with small pokes from Ezreal and Ari. Good mystic shots from Yugen, by the way. It's like they have magnet onto their enemies, but Ray Ray, with the good wave here that she has, will be able to take down the minions very, very quickly. Just Yugen still the team, not the player, still holding their ground into the map. They have 3 kills and was not able to take down a third just yet, but it feels like these two teams, they want to just go on with the full-on 5v5 team fights.
Indeed, and if we take a look at GS Yugen's lineup, you don't really see like hard crowd control other than the Renekton having a basic point and click stun. Now, turret's gonna go down. Jimmy might risk her life for it. Here comes the snowball rolling right through. It hits onto the cow, but then Alistair is not really all too worried, and that final spark lands perfectly on top of Jimmy as they give chase. Now, with more of the members of Kay coming in the way, Mayon gets bursted down, has to force a flash. No members drop, but we have a 1v1 happening up top. Shashalala managing to proc a bottle spot, going at the back just to take another one, but she's taking too much damage. Has to utilize the Grand Challenge if she has, but then again, she is dropping low with Ignite, with a killing spree going down in favor of Minute. They are looking to set up this perfect thought. That charm is not gonna wither them down, and I guess Ray Ray will still walk out of that alive.
She is one auto attack away from being 6 feet underground, but it's okay. Ray Ray is alive, but at the expense of 2 turrets, one from the Dragon Lane and one from the Baron Lane. So they're very engaged. Up top, Grand Challenge has been popped, and now Renekton will be the one that is in a pinch. Was able to use Flash, but Shashalala is on the chase.
Oh no. Second dash, and it goes directly to Shashalala's site, and well, oh well. I think she will be safer just hanging out with the golems.
It's very chill, you know. She could have just become quiet there, but it was dead end. So she had to be killed at some point. Now 8 minutes in, Gameplex with that almost face check gets greeted by a piercing the Q from Lux's skill set. Now Shashalala got her hands onto the Triforce. No one actually dying. That was a lot of CC actually. Almost all of them were taken by Gamblings, but as a support and as an Alistar, you'd want that.
And surprisingly enough, Kay Shashalala, they're not even trying to contest this Infernal Drake. Most of the teams will be like, yeah, Infernal's the most important Drake. It gives us so much of the bonus damage. But you know what? We might not need that at all. And yet again, we saw most of their health bars were dropped down low. They get a stun off of the Fiora, and instantly connect them with the life body as well. Once he walks away, there is the Ignite. Might just be able to take them down, but instead they get a trade, taking down Yugen. Well, Lois tries to move that all the way to the back. Jimmy could have actually engaged, but instead, look at that perfect execution. Just fades away into the darkness. Now they move right under the nose of the turret, and the Absolute Zero will get themselves another beautiful catch. It's a double for Minute, and they walk away, only sacrificing Yugen.
Oh, Kha'Zix.
He jumps right in, and look at how well she navigated it out with that reset. Now, Grand Challenge opens things up, but there is still going to be more blood being spilled across the river as they manage to get 2 drops onto Yugen.
What an extended team fight. And I have to say, Lux's light binding really binding their opponents down, but there'll be another fight.
Oh boy, Shasha. Somehow she's still alive. Well, Yugen coming with his priorities, hoping to jump on Gambling, but there is just about enough damage. That's a double as she will shift away and dodges that charm perfectly. Does have more of the mana to utilize the sped shimmy now, being brought down to 20% as they continue to pile onto Ray. And Ray, Spirit Rush away, and that is the arcane, well, True Shot Barrage being expended, but not connecting to the Ahri. Here comes the Killer Instinct, and Emily jumping right in. They hope to steal it off, but the Kha'Zix will give her live up with that attempt.
What is analysis? The teams just want to keep on fighting after that kill, after that Carol take. GS Yugen making their way up at the mid lane, already summoned the Rip Herald as well to get their hands on that juicy last outer mid lane turret, but Kay Shashalala will try their best to defend this. Now that will be a jump in from this cow, from this Alistar. There will be a pulverize connecting on the 2, but then here comes Shashalala. The Vitals has been proc, Grand Challenge being used as well, another like binding has been popped, exhaust being used as well, and Kay Shashalala gets to live another day. But GS Yugen, they are pretty much asserting dominance because they just want to go all in, they want to go with that snowball. They have the turret takedown advantage, they also have the gold advantage and the kill advantage.
I want you to take a look at this Akali build quickly, and she's building into a Rod of Ages, and yet again walking out with a 6-1 scoreline. That is amazing, and I love the adaptation. Doesn't matter if you have mana or not on this Akali, like, you just rely on how well she can survive when you have the scaling Rod of Ages intact, and already having the Rabadons now for 2 versus 1. Lois just going over the wall, trying to fight off this 2v1, but she's just trying to salvage this, and they won't be able to break May on down, but more of the members of GS Yugen have managed to at least shove the bottom lane turret, and Kay Shashalala might be a little too late for this.
It looks like they're still, of course, going to try to go with the defense. Rabadon's being picked up by Ray. And Team GS Yugen, they decide to not push, or at least not take down that last turret down at bot lane. Good vision from Lux there. We're able to see if someone was going to try and chase them down. Shashalala alone at the mid lane. And looks like this Fiora is pretty much healthy. Good to go. Pretty much ready to win those 3v1s, but I was not ready from that barrage damage coming out from Yugen.
It's just gonna leave a little bit of scratch. Well, hopefully nobody breaks their fingernails. That's gonna cost a lot with those manicure or pedicure down. So as we take a look at some of the builds that have came up, so standard stuff coming in for the Fiora, and you look at a very defensive setup. You've already got Deadman's Blade up for the Alistar, but they're a little too late to move in for that, but the Pulverize lands onto 2. Hoping to land a perfect stun as the res of GS Yugen collapse, and they manage to take that dragon and eventually finds Shashalala all alone in the pit. She flashes over with the ground challenge, still surviving, challenging Minute, but she's too powerful. Goes on that killing spree as Gamblings not really having too much of a rhythm to flash away, but not enough to secure anything at all. Chimney goes over the wall, and Law is still going out for the hunt. Well, the shove comes into the mid lane, but still continues on their spree.
Maya tried to go or actually tried to go with the steal, but the Smite was just too late, and GS Yugen still got that dragon. After that, it was just a constant asserting of dominance with their damage, with the barrage, and just very beautiful way of layering their damage. Came to a point that Kay Shashalala was just forced to take a step back and go back to their base. It was too close for comfort as well from Gamblings, but she made a lot of very, very good headbutt pulverized and even protobelt in pulverized. The problem was the follow-up was not always there.
Yeah, and I guess after all those crowd control that's expanded coming in from Gamblings, so you don't really have anyone else that can offer reliable stun. Maybe a charm can come out from Ray Ray, and now with that one ward being placed inside the pit, that alarms the rest of Shashalala to come in for the contest. Baron dropping low, 35%, and they quickly go in for the reset, but down bottom side, Shashalala looks for that last shred of the final procs, and with the last few strikes, they'll be able to take down Lawless, but the fight continues up by the river, and they manage to get the pulverize on top of Tree. But where's the follow-up? Once again, the charm connects onto Yugen. Then this is where they hop on board. But that's enough of crowd control as they snare down that Kha'Zix as they continue on this massacre. GS Yugen winning every team fight.
I mean, you have Winter, you have Kunais, you have a Crocodile, you have Fire from Ezreal, and you have Light from Lux, and that was just textbook cleaning from GS Yugen, but that will be this is being procced by this Akali. Let's see who will be able to outplay who. Grand Challenge has been popped, and Kay Shashalala still being able to win that 1v1.
Oh, that's a perfect final spark, but their pause comes into play. Princess got to walk out of the Baron pit. Now they go on a 3v1, taking down Shashalala. Princess doesn't really have that much help left. They might just be able to steal this away. Is that enough damage? No, Shashalala will not get it though. GS Yugen should be able to take that perfect butt, and they manage to walk away with that Baron buff.
I believe Ray Ray was trying to get a kill there, but of course they were able to walk their way into safety. Ray Ray still on the hunt alongside Gamblings, but yeah, Team Kay Shashalala still holding out just fine. And looking at the items, you see Rabadons, you see those Triforces, as well as those Blade of the Ruined Kings. This is the late game, and they just have the sufficient damage for an engage and re-engage. Ray Ray might meet the wrath of the snowball, but no, she was able to use her ultimate to dash away.
Well, I guess she just saved the flash right there, and that cooldown's probably low enough for them to have it on the next team fight. But then again, the Drake's coming up soon, and we're having the Elder Ocean Drake that's going to be extremely valuable for GS Yugen, as it's already so hard to take them down. If you give them any more Omni Vamp, this is gonna get harder as it goes for Kay Shashalala. Another true shot. Barrage is missing the mark, but they're already initiating on that Elder Drake, moving right in. Gamblings need to find an opening as they all pile up, but look at that split push coming in from the Fiora as well. Shashalala hoping to bring it all the way back. And Unbreakable Will, as well as hit by Provost, will come right through back. Well, Minute goes in for the chase. They manage to find two members of Kay Shashalala, but this Fiora's on the loose. Will be able to find an opening here to take down the inhibitor, but help is on the way. Always holding them back as they try to get them their hands on the Elder Ocean Drake. And Shashalala managed to win that trade out and also got that inhibitor back for Kay Shashalala.
God dang, this girl! That was so cool! I mean, I actually already expected that she'll be able to survive the fight against Renekton. So that's why I thought maybe Renekton will clear the waves first. But no, the moment Fiora saw this, yeah, you're gonna clear the wave, we're gonna fight. Speaking of a fight, that will be another pulverize coming through
Oh,
from this Alistar. The final spark hurts a lot. Ezra gets a kill onto Fiora finally, and
rolling in.
they thought they were safe, but here comes our Nunu and Willem dashing through the snow. But oh no, he got pushed into the well, and with that, GS Yugen will just have to go back to the drawing board.
I'm sorry, ladies, but can't we clip that? I think Christmas came too early. That's something that we haven't seen in a long time. That's what you get when you have an Alistar on the opposing end and you just choose to, roll the biggest snowball out there. And I guess, it might just be winter in some part of the region. But I'm not certain if that's the best of ideas.
They tried, maybe, well, Nunun Willem still has quite the damage, so they thought maybe they can get a knock-up and then take them down, but, good sidestep, predictions, pro plays from Team Kay Shashalala. That was just the icing on top of the cake, or the cupcake. Now, almost 20 minutes in, it looks like GS Yugen, the team, will just clear the waves out. Mayan picked up a teleport for maybe the backdoor place because there is a ward. Okay, no, never mind. The ward died. There was a ward there in the area, lower left part of your map. Baron Nash already up, and GS Yugen, they know that their strength is in team fights, not in skirmishes like this. So Renekton will be able to get out of there alive, but here comes the engage.
Nah, that's too much for her to handle. I guess those 1v1 duels have been looking rather convincing for Shasha, but with majority of GS Yugen members moving down bot, this opens up a chance for Kay Shashalala to sneak the Baron, but with the TP, they managed to get back on track. Now, taking over into the Baron pit with Princess, who's right back in the middle. They could easily get this Baron, but that beautiful shot of Final Spark will get another one. Baron dropping low, and Ray comes in for the challenge as this will cost a disarray, pun intended, but Baron still goes over to GS Yugen as the Ari gets deleted.
Ooh, Ari popping like a pimple there, but yeah, it was an Ezreal, so you'd expect that from Yugen. And Renekton again left at the base to do cleanup duty. Death timers are very high, and it looks like GS Yugen will be able to get their hands on a victory this time around. What a game, what a back and forth, and I have to say, this was my favorite best of one so far in this day number 1.
I gotta say so myself, and you just take a look at how well both sides actually played out. Though it was hard for a majority of Shashalala's side to even secure some of all these pickoffs, they've been able to hold on till 20-minute mark, and it was down to that final fight that kind of broke the camel's back where everybody's behind that pit. They tried to sneak in that Baron, didn't really work out according to plan with all the wards being placed up, and also for the fact that the quick follow-ups coming out of the Akali to dive all the way to the back line. We may not see the rest of that ace that we've witnessed, but, Ray was out there trying to fend them all off alone on this Ari. And I guess that they just lost too much before the real fight even started.
They did. They did not have the resources when the actual war jumped in. 37,000 on this Ezreal, woohoo, that damage. And of course, you still have that beautiful series to remember. And yeah, initially I thought it would go over to Team Shashalala just because their composition is a lot more well-rounded, and Ray was doing a great job, zoning out the opponent. She was also the one in charge of giving vision. There's a lot of good initiates from Alistar as well, with the pulverize, even in the headbutt, protobot and the usual combo, as well as the heals or the passive would just pop in at the right time. But what happened there was, and I said this, they knew, GS Yugen knew their strength, and that is in the team fights. They were able to just separate their opponents from being clumped together, and from there they took them down one by one.
That's right. That's the round being won by GS Yugen, and now we have one more best of one series left for our evening. This is the FSL Wild Rift Showdown featuring League of Legends Wild Rift, presented by Intel and supported by Yahoo. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We'll have our last game being played out. Welcome to the FSL Wild Rift Showdown featuring League of Legends Wild Rift. It's Qontra here along with Yuuko. We're down to a very final game, and we would like to thank Intel as they present to us this perfect platform for both of us to cast and also for the ladies to shine here in the Wild Rift Showdown. And all of this is also supported by Yahoo as they are our official media partners. So, of course, now, one final best of one here in the round robins, and I absolutely love this format. We see like teammates going against each other as they got mix and match, and all these fun stuff that we're seeing. And I guess it's like you know your enemies really well when they're on the opposing side.
Exactly. And it's just I guess it's a challenge of whoever gets to adjust more. I mean, of course, you're with new teams, you're with new players. Speaking of teams and players, we're gonna hop into the last best of one, the last pick and ban just for tonight. Don't worry, guys, we'll still have tomorrow.
That's right. And as we get into the bans, we're looking at so many of all these different hover. I'm not too sure if you want to ban that Shyvana. I don't think that anyone uses her all too much, but then again, it's more of like a hover for a pick as the Olaf gets banned away. We've seen some of all these favorite picks of Ari as well as Fiora being eliminated. Same goes to Recton as well. So the pool for that Baron lane is going to be uh skimmed down to only a few picks out there. But then again, I think that they're up to something because somebody might have forgotten about the Camille.
And one of the players from a certain team is ready to lock that in. This will be the first Rakon ban for the day. Sadly, no Lovers Duo this time around. We did not see a Lovers Duo in the previous Best of One as well. And we thought Camille will come through, but apparently, nah. KLX Ghost was able to ban her in the last slot for their third ban, which leaves Ziggs open, and VEC MaiLinh will gladly get their hands on that. Oh yeah, Riven is open.
I think this is the perfect draft, and they exchange a strong pick up in the mid lane here and has given up over the Riven. I think it's honestly okay, judging for the fact that the majority of these players have been able to show us how powerful Ziggs could still blow the competition wide open while they immediately go in for a second pick Thresh. So, what are your thoughts on Thresh in this current meta, Yuko?
Okay. Thresh for initiates with his first skill or his Q is very much lethal and very much important for pickoffs and initiates. But I guess the more important thing here is the box. And if a player knows how to utilize the box, that will be a problem because think of it as a downsized broken wing combo from Riven. You can't move, you get slowed, and everyone is just magically right behind you, and you can't do anything about that. So maybe you're gonna be seeing that, given that Riven and Thresh is in one team. In the other side of the world, the spectrum, you have a J4 and Varus locked in. Another Varus game. I love this. I love seeing all those kites and those chain of corruptions. But this time he will be up against. Oh, I thought it was gonna be a Caitlyn, but still, it's someone with a gun.
Yeah, and like the meme, hide your wife, hide your kids, but you can work with somebody who stole your wife. But yeah, I'm going too far with this. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, Lucian and Thresh combo always works very well, even on the
Mm-hmm.
PC counterpart we've seen so frequently. Now, a little bit of hover on that Diana that opens up a lot more room for them to set up perfect dives. So for VC MaiLinh, they have a very safe composition where they could just choose any given point in time to pull the trigger, so long as the Jarvan is up at the ready to go on any certain target. But with a slippery Lucian as well as a Riven, it's not going to be an easy catch after all. So
Mm-hmm.
they need somebody else to start the fight, and what better way if they could get their hands on that Irelia?
Might as well go with someone that can jump in and auto attack everyone. I mean, the auto attack on Irelia in the late game is a problem. Okay, I feel like at some point it's illegal to be that good, and the movement speed, no, the attack speed rather, is a huge factor as well. Although I believe a Diana will be a good addition for KLX Ghost here. I mean, imagine Moonfall, the box, and that's when Lucian and Riven will jump in. So it's just a matter of maybe Shockwave. Yeah, Shockwave is much better at least. No, Oriana will not be in the middle of the fight or the problem. But yeah, have someone that can suck everyone in the middle. Have a good setup for your damage dealers. Yeah, she's still thinking. It's okay, girl. You can choose whenever you want.
Any, mean, and miny, mo, I guess. In this situation, both does benefit the team, and you can
Mhm.
still offer some good mobility with, the speed ups that an Oriana can provide. Playing a little bit more of a utility mage in many of these scenarios, but I do prefer the burst damage potential when you do have the Riven. So it's multifaceted when it comes down to the output of what KLX Ghost can actually offer.
Still looking for whoever will be the support. Oh, mostly the Baron laner. I guess that could be Aurelia, but who will be support for VEC MaiLinh side? Could be a Alistar, could be a Nami if you want. I mean, Thresh is already gone, so there's that. Rakan also got banned out. Might as well go with someone that can sustain Varus in the lane, and yeah, for the side of oh
Does that mean it's a
Zig support?
support, Jarvan? Wow, okay, I like where this is going. Now,
I love
what you
this.
want to do when you have the Jarvan on the bot lane, you have Thresh, who's not really all too mobile, so you could just basically throw the Dragon Slants whenever you see the Thresh coming up. And if you were to get hooked just before that hook lands, you could dive away by just having the flag and drag backwards, back into safety.
They juked us. Apparently, it will be AJ for BR
Okay.
lane. Right?
Okay, makes
He's
more
safe in the
sense.
Yeah.
I'm seeing double smites though. Are we having double jungle? Is that
Why
how they
not?
want to
Oh,
go
okay.
with that?
Oh.
Okay.
I was happy though.
Wukong really surprised me. We haven't seen any Wukong in the tournament, and I hope to see huge cyclones to sweep KLX Ghost off their feet.
Hopefully, let's see if we'll be able to see those combos. But this will be the last best of one for day number 1. We will still have best of ones tomorrow. Of course, 8 p.m. will be the start of the live stream. Do not forget to mark your calendars, set your alarm. But now, be set on your votes. Who do you believe will win in this last matchup, last showdown for tonight? Personally, I lean towards KLX Ghost just because I love the possible combo, and it will be a clean execution, especially if Kero will be able to snowball in the early game.
Well, if you're on KLX Ghost's side, I'm on VEC MaiLinh. Just look at that scary wombo combo. You could start the fight with Cyclone. You could possibly have Jarvan with the Cataclysm, or even that chain of corruption that could land when this Varus is in that prime position. So with that, we get our way into our final match here in our Rift, as we have all of this here presenting all these awesome matches as Intel have been able to divide so you can conquer. Well, I'm stuttering a little bit. I do apologize for that. It's been a long evening. But hey, I still have energy left in my tank for this final best of one of the round robins.
Of course, these two teams will definitely give us an amazing fight. No fights just yet, though. But they're just going to their respective lanes, unless we see some, skirmishes here and there. Nice brisk arrow gave vision for VEC MaiLinh, and it just forced KLX Ghost to take a step back here at the mid lane, though, which I believe is the best matchup in this game, in this best of one. Ziggs will be able to push Diana back, but once Diana gets that moonfall, this Ziggs better pray for his life.
Yeah, and I guess that in the early game you could just outrange and really look at how well Lenora not only slight steps all these moon assaults. She's just basically having happy feet, farming and just constantly chunking down the health bars. And that's how you want to win out your early trades as a Ziggs.
Speaking of trades, still waiting on the possible trades for the bot lane. Who knew air could hurt that much? But apparently the taunt has been cancelled, given that Gia just whipped Claria closer to them, but there will not be any follow-ups. Space created still for these two champions. Going up at the mid lane, though, Carol decided to pay Diana a visit. Well, pay Ziggs a visit, but Ziggs is still a-okay. Instead, Carol alongside Diana will be making their way down and get their hands on this Rift Scupper.
Oh, Barret being popped, Vera having very low health bars, and Rangzong almost catches him up, but it's still a first blood for the Wukong. Well, the fight continues on in the bottom lane. Gia doesn't really have all too much health to go out. Clara goes in for the chase, but at the back, it's a flash kill from Kiro with a final shot, taking them down. And MaiLinh will not be able to survive. Lenora says, yeah, thank you very much for the rip buff. And I will continue on with my harassment towards this Diana.
And Kara did not have flash in that engage, so it was just a secure kill for Ziggs. At the very least, he was able to get one, and he'd take that trade every day, any day. 2-2 on the scoreboard, just 2 minutes in. Very, very small goalie, but the sounds are going to connect, and that will be a jump in for Claria. Here comes Varus, but with the Thresh, Gia was able to pull Ghost into safety.
You know, I love marksman who takes the lantern, and I'm pretty sure that Gia appreciated that a whole lot, because that was a perfect setup. And MaiLinh, okay, adding a little bit more of a helping hand of the Mega Inferno Bomb, but it won't be all too much. While Vera constantly getting ganked by Rangzong, while Hellgirl's getting the perfect start on the Wukong.
Exactly. And we're waiting to see that snowball a bit more. And I mean, I kept on mentioning Gia earlier in their previous best of one, but now seeing her in the Thresh, I see a different level of a support here. Still very much ready and provides vision for her team. And now she will be taking the raft of that Galio, but she will be a-okay. She will just de-ward in those secluded areas. That will be the stuns coming through.
Whoa, Carol getting an easy picking here. And 1 HP left. That's the final blow with Carol with the collateral damage coming out there. And Rangzong's not really in the perfect position to bend them all up. Has to back away. It's always a 1-for-1 trade. Gia lost her life in order to please get one back at them. So I guess dropping a member off of VEC is quite worth it in that trade.
Yeah, and just imagine if Diana was there earlier, could have been the perfect setup for a moonfall, but she was kept busy by Ziggs, so it was the domino effect in favor of VEC MaiLinh. Ziggs already got Luden's Echo, but KLX Ghost will have first dibs on this Ocean Drake. I don't think VEC MaiLinh will go with the trade, so they're gonna get this Rift Herald just so they can have a mean of getting their first blood turret, although Riven is there at the sides, but here comes another initiative.
Here comes Hero's entrance dropping in. Clara coming in for the save, and MaiLinh burnt both summoners as it was a close call, and if there wasn't any Hero's entrance, I think she'll be done for.
she could have said goodbye there, but yeah, she gets to survive a little bit. But now VEC MaiLinh got the gold lead. They summoned their held into the brown lane. You have Riven trying to go with the Brooklyn combo, but let's see how far will that take her. Maybe a little bit farther, given that Kero is here this time around. It will be the charge from the Herald. They got two turret plating, but looking at the dragon lane side, MaiLinh is very, very low, and Gia gets that kill. This support really wants those kills.
Just look at that proto belt. Do you expect it coming from the trash? Not really so early in the game. Usually you expect something like a locket that comes up, but here comes Hellgirl through the cyclone, dropping onto Bongbei, but will be followed up by Vera jumping right in as well. But that's a goal that she's hopping up for. Ignite being popped, and that's two being blown up. Make that trade. Cleanup crew has arrived, and VEC MaiLinh secures 3-in-1 full swing. Fox locking Lenore in place, but there's a little bit of room for them to get out of the way. And even though their health bars are low, there's no way a trash can go 1v3.
Unless, just kidding. No, there is no
trash?
universe.
80 trash is possible.
New meta from Qontra and Yuuko right here. But yeah, it's just 6 minutes, and we already saw a lot of action in Rumble in the jungle, rather. But now, KLX Ghost, they're slowly making their way out of their comfort zone. They will want to be on the hunt this time around. Claria is a bit tanky, and there are good taunts coming out as well as good hero entrances. The problem here is sometimes there's just no follow-up. And in retrospect, KLX Ghost here, they have quite the follow-up. I mean, whenever Gia jumps in, that's where Ghost pops the calling. Kero is somewhere there in the map for some reason. They're just 1 or 2 steps ahead. But you also have to remember, VEC MaiLinh is protecting their Ziggs as well as their Varus. When these two champions scale, when these two champions get their power spike, KLX Ghost will have to pray to all the gods above.
Yeah, and I guess when you look at both sides of the composition, KLX Ghost is only strongest when they're all together. And yet again, for VEC MaiLinh, they could just easily counter that whenever you have Galil with the ult available. So it also forces them into sticky situations. As such, MaiLinh immediately pops the flash, connected with the piercing arrow as well. And that is that perfect chain of corruption that locked them right in to turn things around against Ghost, not even having time to flash away.
The chain was too heavy and Lucian could not move with that. Ghost got bursted down by VEC MaiLinh. ADC down for 5 more seconds, and this gives a little bit more space for VEC MaiLinh to move around the map. I guess they just took that time to clear some wave. But now Gia, alongside Kero, they will try to look for possible next victims, but gets greeted by Claria as well as Zig. So KLX Ghost, they will have to take a step back.
Oh boy, coming out with a pick up here, Castles and drop onto 2. Megathon about to follow up as well. It's a killing spree for the Ziggs. Lenore trying to drop the balls over the wall, but this is another perfect chain of corruption that lands onto Ghost for 2 times in a row. Carol will not be able to survive as they will continue to give chase. And it's a dominant performance coming out of Rangzong. Now, they are just in time to secure their Inferno Drain.
This might be the sign for teams to start banning out of J4 if they're against Rangzong, because that is an amazing way of using J4. Flag and Drag, Cataclysm, even though he only got Gia, that is a thresh that could have hooked anyone from his team. Also, there was quite the space rather created for Kero, was not able to kite anyone down. Gia almost got caught out there, but she'll be a-okay. And yeah, it was just a team fight that VEC MaiLinh were very sure that they will win, but let's see if Hellgirl will she go with the pickoff or will she be the one to get taken down.
And we're taking a look at this Lucian who's so far behind, being left off to farm by his own and constantly getting poked by the Varus. Now, this is going to be a steal coming in. KLX goes managing to smite it away, while the rest of VEC MaiLinh hoping to catch them off guard. Kara goes down, but I guess it was all well worth it when you secure that Rip Herald. Now, at least giving them more space to open up the map, but VEC MaiLinh is storming up mid. Vera can only watch, as she can't really get them all corded up, but she will try to clear up the mid waves, buys a little bit more time, but there's the satchel charge to take down Finley.
Yeah, even though you're a very, very strong Riven, you will have not. Ooh, that beautiful Q coming out from Gia and that Moonfall as well. Diana gets killed onto Ziggs as is shot down onto the mid laner of VEC MaiLinh. And I was just about to say, it was worth it because VEC MaiLinh came there to take down the Herald, but KLX Ghost, specifically Karo, came there to steal. Now Claria will try to go with Taunt. Taunt is gonna connect onto one, but Kira was able to sidestep her way into safety, and with that, the Rift Herald's head meets the turret, the last, well, the first outer turret of VEC MaiLinh, and the KLX Ghost finally gets their first turret takedown.
We're starting to see KLX picking off some steam here with some of all this amazing turnaround up in the mid lane. Now, that is really important. We see few clutch moments, just like how they managed to steal that Rift Herald away. And that Proto Belt Death Sentence was one of the most perfect plays that we've ever seen from any support in the tournament so far. FSL Wild Rift Showdown really offers this full spectrum of all sorts. And now, as we proceed into the mid-game, 10 minutes or 11 minutes into play, as much as this is a huge swing of goal in favor of VEC MaiLinh, there's still opportunities where KLX Ghost can win it all with a team fight. And here comes a little pickup. Flag drag comes true, but it's not going to be all too much enough as Diana gets blown up to pieces. No more minions for VEC MaiLinh. I guess that one pick is good enough.
Yep. You know what? It's better to have one rather than none at all. But Chia, man, positioning very much on point. If she just used that Q, never mind. That's a very, very good target. But J4 was able to use flag and drag to get away. No one still gets taken out. Ziggs was left to Qontra alone at
Another
the
one.
Baron lane. Another Q connecting. But Claria, she is tanky, so she did not get taken down.
Well, that's some interesting interaction. I'm pretty sure that Gia feels a little bit bummed out, but as we continue on with what's going up in the mid lane, L-Girl just trying to buy a little bit more time while more and more of all these hooks coming out, and Gia, just like what I've mentioned, feeling frustrated about 2 hits of that Death Sentence, but couldn't be able to convert that to anything at all, and that's due to smart plays coming from both Rangzong as well as Claria. We don't really see that many players on Gallo actually or running on Righteous Glory, but I guess it works out if you want to quickly get a run in with the taunt.
Okay, now that will be the bouncing bombs, and the very least, it will be another turret taken down by Riven, but she will get 2v1. I don't think she will have any more lives left, and she gets greeted by Claria. I kind of felt bad for that Riven, but she gets just taken down, gets taken 6 feet underground. At the very least, KLX Ghost was able to
dragon though
created on their dragon.
Here comes Mega Inferno Ball, a perfect cyclone onto 2 members as he gets blown up in the air. Calculus into lockdown. Gia not really targeted, wanted to take them down anyways. Karo cannot walk out alive. And it is an ace that favors VEC MaiLinh, and they have courted it perfectly. And now they set their eyes on Baron.
Now that will be VEC MaiLinh having first dibs on this Baron. Flag and Jag, space created. No one from KLX Ghost is near them, but Riven is making her way into this objective. Not sure if VEC MaiLinh will be able to get the Baron down in time. Here comes Riven being able to pop her ultimate, but it will not be enough to secure the objective.
A good try coming in from the Riven as she just used the Blade of the Exile in hopes to steal it away. And Vera have struggled throughout this game. She's been punished multiple times in that early phase where you just have Rangzong camping on that Baron lane for plenty of times in the first 5 minutes. Now, it all goes down to the final objective here left on the table. And especially with the Baron buff, it gets harder for KLX Ghost to get a good grasp of each remaining lane, but they still have at least Vyrock to push up the top, so perhaps that may open up a little bit more room for a backdoor, but they have more to deal with up in mid as VEC MaiLinh is pushing in.
This is all or nothing. VEC MaiLinh, they just need one good pick-off, but they have to be very careful of this thresh because that Q can be translated into a V for KLX Ghost with the victory. But let's be jumping from Jaya. Let's see this will be the follow-up.
And Veros moving forward, not being able to actually knock anybody up in the air. Here comes Hellgirl coming in with the Cyclone and followed up with the Hero's Engines, not letting anything at all, but they will take down the Diana from the back. Bomb is already out, while Clara managing to save her teammates from falling off of that team fight. Battered, bruised, but none of the members of VEC MaiLinh went down in that fight as they stormed through mid, knocking on the inhib, while Vyra tries to hold on, but there's not too much minutes anyways. But there is room from the bomb side, and now they try to get the top onto the ribbon, and they have to let go. Storming up mid, and the depth sentence does connect. Well, there's more warriors down bot as well. Their base is getting shattered, and they're marching in to close out the final series of the night. It's a few more votes for VEC MaiLinh to end the night on a perfect win.
Those are Baron buff minions, so there's no, well, there is a wave, but they were only there are two champions up in the last few seconds, so they were not able to shove that. Also because the fact that there's 4 champions right in front of them. Now it will be a very, very convincing win from VEC MaiLinh, but I have to say, despite the 20 and 6 kill count on the board right now, in the macro, it's pretty even. I guess we were just not able to see this Riven pop off. Actually, Riven did pop off at some point, but I forgot. There is a Galio in the enemy side, so she can't really do her combo. Lucian is safe, sure, but Diana can't even jump in and use her Moonfall because anytime it could be cancelled by either the Flag and Drag, the Satchel Charge, or even the Chain of Corruption. So this is a very good and strong draft made by VEC MaiLinh, but KLX Ghost, they showed us a very, very beautiful best of one.
Indeed, it was a beautiful matchup here, and of course, the ladies here are showing their utmost best in most of these matchups here in the round robin stage. You just notice Rang Zong has gotten 19 appearances, 7 takedowns, and 12 assists. There was only one kill that she did not participate on, and she absolutely deserved that MVP performance on that Jarvan 4. So anyone be facing against them in the future, they gotta ban out that Jarvan or else face the wrath of what she could possibly bring to the table. And Yuuko, that concludes all of our matches for day 1. But before we, of course, end the night, let's get a little bit of update of the bracket here at the FSL Wild Rift Showdown.
Yep, so this is the not the upgraded, the updated group standings, and we're looking forward to seeing a good or another win for the side of Team Shashalala. But so far, these mix and match teams are very strong. This is just the number 1, but you can already see that they were able to adjust accordingly. They really know the lineup and the champions that they should play around, and I cannot wait to see what more will they have in store for us for day number 2.
Indeed, and we see the rest of the teams here who have definitely struggled to even secure a single win. And for tomorrow, we'll still have each respective team playing 2 matches each against all of their opposers. So we see 3 teams here walk out with 1 pointers. They might just be able to at least chase onto the score being set by most of all these players from VEC MaiLinh. And even though with a 2-0 victory for tonight, they can't rest on their laurels just about yet, because tomorrow is where the real battle begins. So, Yuuko, I'm excited for that, but tomorrow I believe we'll be joined by Omo, as of course we had a beautiful blast of a time here at the FSL Wild Rift Showdown featuring League of Legends Wild Rift. And remember to also follow us on each respective social media platform. If you're tuning in from Twitch, make sure you follow us on FSL, and also on YouTube, it's FSL as well. On Facebook, we're both live on FSL Mobile Games as well as Yahoo Esports Southeast Asia. Yahoo is our official media partner, as they've been supporting us all the way through, and we give a huge big thank you to our dear partners here, as all this is presented by Intel, and it divides so you can conquer with the 12th gen Intel Core. So yeah, Yuuko, any words before we close off the night, and what can we expect for tomorrow evening?
Yeah, this is just the number one, but the teams were very very intense, and the matchups were just beautiful. For tomorrow, I expect to see more, so do not forget to again set your alarm. Be with us again, same time tomorrow. Do not forget to follow me on my socials at YukoPH everywhere. Literally everywhere. You can just type that in and you can give me a follow as well as Contra. Plug your social medias, my good friend.
Well, you can find me on Contra at Facebook as well as Instagram. And, well, that's all that I have from my end. And I hope you all have a pleasant evening. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place here on FSL Power of Showdown.